Pod Mortem would like to thank Original Cinematic for sponsoring this week's episode. Original Cinematic is an independent production company that has made it their mission to create, produce, and promote films that are inclusive, honor women, promote the LGBTQIA+ community, and provide prominent positions and roles to POC actors and filmmakers, and promote the films of marginalized and underrepresented populations. These are all things that are extremely important to our podcast as well.
Original Cinematic is currently accepting scripts and treatments. Both William and Xxena Rush are available via email or Zoom to discuss writing and provide input and resources to all aspiring writers, free of charge. Their information will be made available in the show notes. There may be delays due to a hectic schedule and all projects being read on a first-come, first-served basis, but everything will be read and responded to. William Rush has individually produced numerous projects, including Pack is Here, Before, The Cottage, The Winemaker, and Day by Day. Their multi-award-winning film Group premiered and was celebrated at multiple film festivals as well as screenings, both in person and via Zoom, that were made graciously available to us and our patrons.
Original Cinematic has many exciting projects on the horizon. Their next film, Immersion, has been completed. The award-winning Sweetener is in development, Fetish begins shooting in September, and Encore will begin next spring. Their documentary Women in Conversation is slated for a September release, and we are looking forward to each and every one of them. It is truly an honor to partner with Original Cinematic, and we can't thank them enough for their contribution to our show. And now, back to our regularly scheduled program.
Salutations! Welcome to Pod Mortem. I'm Travis Hunter-Sayapin, joined as always by my co-hosts, my sister and my brother-in-law.
Hi, I'm Reneé Hunter-Vasquez.
Hi, I'm John Paul Vasquez.
This week, we're broadcasting live from Eine Irrenenanstalt, discussing the 1920 silent horror film, The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari. This film was directed by Robert Wiene from a screenplay by Hans Janowitz and Karl Mayer. Widely regarded by many historians as one of the first true horror films, The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari offers audiences an unforgettable experience. With imaginatively expressionistic set design, indelibly iconic imagery, striking characters, and a terrifyingly twisted narrative left up to the viewer's interpretation, this film stands the test of time as a cinematic achievement, with its shadows still looming large over the horror genre in the century since its release. This film was recommended to us by friends of the show, Mrs. DeLarge, Blaine Hancock, Smelly Poo Poo Head, Murder Stina, and Jules Sayapina Hunter. We want to thank each and every one of them for their continued support of the show, as well as this suggestion. So, The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari. What were your first impressions on the film?
I remember when I first seen the movie, I watched it on accident. I think you had left before to Belgrade to go, you and Jules to go meet up and hang out and spend some time together. And I was trying to get caught up, and I think I was supposed to watch Carnival of Souls.
Yeah.
Yes, you were.
And I ended up watching, I don't know why, I think we were talking about it at the time, or it had been talked about. And your sister was at work, and I was like, okay, I'm going to get a jump start, and I'm going to watch this movie, whatever. So I watched it, and I'm like, I don't know what the fuck's going on. I was like, this is so weird. It's whatever. I'm texting your sister, and then she's like, wait, what are you watching?
Well, it was after you watched the whole thing, because it sounded right to me. And then I was like, wait, what did you...
Yeah.
It's funny to me because you had the best intentions.
Yeah. I was trying to get ahead, whatever, and I was like, this is nuts. I was not supposed to watch that.
No, not yet.
But watching it this time for the show, we are covering it this time.
Yes.
So watching it this time, we watched it on Shudder. I do remember when I watched it the first time, I watched the one on Tubi. Now, the one on Tubi, I believe, was released the next year, which is the English version, I guess, because the subtitles have English cards on them. This is the original.
Yes.
This is the very original one. But that one was really blurry. It was a little hard to see the movie and kind of what's going on. This one on Shudder they have is 4K restored. Everything looks really good. I enjoyed looking at this a lot more than I did trying to remember when I covered it on accident for myself.
I covered it?
Well, I was the only one talking, and you know what I mean?
Right.
Taking notes. I think nobody else is doing this. But I will be honest. The silence is not for me. I am kind of realizing that I watching them interact with each other and kind of what's going on throughout the movie. I wanted to hear a noise. I wanted to hear a voice a little more, to be precise. You know what I mean? I wanted to hear. I'm not one. I don't mind reading subtitles. You know what I mean? At all. So it's like I do want to hear the emotion that's coming out of you. And I know this was a different time, and you know what I mean. And it is. And I've said many times I'm spoiled by the 70s, 80s, and up. You know what I mean? Horror movies and movies in general, but. There's a lot of cool things that go on in this movie. There was a lot of things that I did enjoy, aside from, you know what I mean, just not enjoying there being no dialogue, you know what I mean? But damn, for being 1920, there's a lot of like really cool and innovative stuff that they did.
I watched Carnival of Souls.
Well, lucky for you.
Yeah.
He didn't do double work.
No.
Fucking da. I had never seen this before until we were covering it this time.
Yeah.
This time.
The first time.
The first time. And I have a little bit of experience with silent film because of that film class that I took.
Yeah.
I was watching like Charlie Chaplin and Buster Keaton, but though like the commonality there is comedy. And so I think that it's a different experience watching somebody, because I think that you can silently be very comedic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And switching to the pretty heavy themes in this, I don't really have experience with a silent film like this. So it was kind of a different experience. Let me say that word again for the 14th fucking time. But it is very interesting the way that, because, you know, in silent films, they're so expressive, like their faces and like their mannerisms. It's almost like theater, like they're playing to the back of the house because they don't have the addition of their voices or, you know, sound effects, or, you know, it's really interesting the way that they're able to get across the emotion without using their voices. And then, you know, you get the little title card, and it's like, man, they were really fucking doing this when they didn't have the ability to make film.
Yeah.
And I know that that's so like, duh, of course, but it's so to really like take a step back and be like, wow, we have, as people, we've been doing this forever when we didn't even have the tools to do it the way that we take for granted now. We've been doing this. It's just really cool and like special.
Yeah.
But for the film itself, I think one of the things I love most about it is the way that they utilized I guess like the sets and the way that the scenes look in terms of that, because it's very akin to like a stage play, and the way that the designs are and the way that it looks, it lends itself to this like disorientation, and like it's like, what the hell? Stylistically, it's just very interesting.
Yeah.
I think that there are some things that are pretty accidentally funny looking at it through, you know, a lens in 2026, where it's like some of the things they do, it's like, dude, that's the most evil man I've ever fucking seen in my life. It's funny. There are things that are over the top, but you understand why they have to be over the top.
Right.
And you think of the ending of this and how it clearly, we were talking off mic, clearly has influenced a lot.
Right.
And the type of ending that we get here is something that I personally, it is my taste in film. It is something that I enjoy. So seeing them doing it over 100 years ago, it's like, okay, I see what we're doing. But no, it's a really cool experience. Is it something that I'm going to frequently return to? Probably not, but it is a very cool thing to watch and kind of step back into the past. And I really love when we get the opportunity to look at these like older horror specifically films and what we were doing back then and the kind of the road that's been paved to the films that we get now. It all started with this, you know?
Yeah.
It's just really interesting from like a historical standpoint.
Mm-hmm.
And when you talk about history, this is the oldest film we've ever covered.
It is.
It is.
So, I mean, that's pretty fucking cool.
Mm-hmm.
But again, is it, if I'm, going to throw a movie on and just vibe, it's probably not going to be this. But I am glad that I watched it. And I do think that in, the halls of horror films, it is something very notable and special.
Yeah.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. This is one of those films where its reputation precedes it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Whether you've seen it or not, you have seen it in some capacity.
Right.
Even on the show, we've referenced it many times. We've talked about it being on in other films.
Yeah.
And I remember specifically the remake of Maniac
Right.
is what they went to see, and we saw large sections of it. And even just the atmosphere of that film, in that film, it was still unsettling.
Mm-hmm.
And so you're kind of familiar with a lot of elements of this film without ever having watched it, which is a very interesting thing.
Right.
And happens a lot whenever we get into these films that are so old.
Mm-hmm.
But I had always wanted to watch it outright, for real, fully.
Right.
But considering how old it is, like you even said, there's so many different versions of it.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to make sure that my first viewing of it was the proper one.
Mm-hmm.
And so I reached out to an expert,
Yeah.
the love of my life. Jules helped me. This is one of their favorite films of all time,
Okay.
which is one of the reasons why we're covering it right now.
Right.
But it was so interesting to me when I finally got the proper version that Jules sent to me.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm watching it and I see just so much of what we understand in modern horror films, like the DNA of it,
Yeah.
through different shot compositions, through different ways that the narrative unfolds, through the set design that is replicated and mimicked in a lot of different ways, sometimes small, sometimes very obviously influenced.
Right.
And I was just so impressed by it. I couldn't help but fall in love with this film.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think that it's one of those things that you gain a deeper appreciation for films that you already love whenever you see where it came from.
Okay.
And I'm watching this film again whenever we're getting ready to cover it. I watched Carnival of Souls as well. And I can't help but recognize so many elements in this film that are reflected in a lot of my modern favorites.
Okay.
And this film to me is just it's a real remarkable achievement, especially coming from the time that it was made. It's astounding that they made this.
Yeah.
And there are some shots that are so surprisingly haunting for a film that's 106 years old.
Yeah.
Introductions to characters, these tight shots on certain characters' faces, and they are overly expressive, like you said.
Yeah.
But it's so interesting in silent film how they are able to convey so much without audio.
Right.
And they have to,
Yeah.
because they really have no choice.
Mm-hmm.
But there are moments of tragedy and just like the first time, and I know we're getting into a little bit, but the first time we see Cesare wake up, there's something that pulls at your heartstrings in just the way that he opens his eyes.
Okay.
And you're watching it and you're just like, this, even without dialogue, your performance is impressive. And that's not an easy thing to do.
Right.
And like you were saying regarding the twist of the film, it is surprising still 100 years later.
Yeah.
I can't. I think it's less so because of things that we've seen before that were influenced by this.
Right.
So you're kind of primed in that way of thinking. But I can't imagine.
Oh, no.
This had to blow everybody's tits off in 1920.
I was gonna say. I'm sure back then this was fucking like, oh my god.
I can't imagine what that would have been.
Yeah.
No. I can't even imagine like going from the other films that were released in theaters to going to see this.
Yeah.
Where everything is just skewed and your idea of the world is warped.
Yeah.
And it's just not like anything you've ever seen in 1920.
Right.
And even now, watching it, there's these images that stay with you. Like there's that scene on the rooftop where, these just images that are just so iconic from film history. But when you finally watch them in their context, you're like, I don't even know how you came up with this in 1920.
Right.
Like, it's something that stands the test of time in such a remarkable way. I will revisit it.
Right.
Yeah.
I just have so much fun with it, and sometimes it is unintentional fun because that Caligari is up to some bullshit.
Yeah.
But I think that it's definitely one to watch, especially if you are like kind of a student of horror.
I think that that's a big part of it too, because
Yeah.
I think that even if you watch this and it's not for you, I think that there's something special. Like when I think of even a movie like Jaws, there's something special about watching a film that you know your favorite filmmakers watched and it lit up something in their brain and made them want to make movies or made them, inspired them, and they took a piece of this with them from the first time that they watched it. And so, I mean, even if like you watch this film and you're like, oh, that was a fucking old movie, whatever, that's cool. It's kind of, I keep saying special, but like it's kind of magical to go back and watch something that ignited the brain of so many creative people that have made things that have ignited your brain. It's like being in love with somebody and then meeting their ancestors, and it's like, oh my god, like you wouldn't exist if not for this. Like it's like it's magical in this weird way of like, is this my favorite movie of all time? No, but I feel very lucky to be able to watch it because it is responsible for so many things. I felt the same way about Jaws, and Jaws is a lot newer, but it's like, dude, this launched so many fucking ships. And it's like, and that was a good pun that I didn't even mean to make.
They were chasing a shark.
They were. Jaws was good. It's
right. But you know what I mean? There's so many authors, so many filmmakers that I love that are like, oh, Jaws changed my life when I saw it when I was 10. And it's like, now I get to watch that and I see why you felt the way you felt.
Yeah.
And you see how many films clearly were influenced by this. And it's like, wow, that's magic. It's trickled all the way down. It's 100 years later.
Yeah, I will agree. Coming from like a student standpoint or someone who loves film, you're 100% right. Even if this isn't like me, this isn't for me. But getting to watch it and seeing what horror movies were like in 1920 from a learning standpoint or whatever, hell yeah, this is history. I did learn something. I do want to learn about older movies and what inspired, even if this isn't something I'll watch again. It is good to have in the chamber because you experience this. And if somebody says, you know what this movie reminds me of, whatever, it's like, I watched this one movie. It's super old. I didn't like it much, but they did that in this first, and I think that's where it came from. Oh, shit. You have that knowledge of it.
And then you can flex on everybody. But it's like you think of the inverse and you're like, can you imagine if somebody in 1920 saw fucking long legs or something?
Oh my God.
Like it's like, time is just so weird. And I feel like we're just lucky to be able to experience something so old that's so foundational.
And it's a lot like you had said, where it's something that has been inherent in us forever to be so bold and imaginative and daring, even in like these baby steps of cinema.
Yeah.
To make something like this early is amazing.
Yeah.
But before we dive into this very crucial and important film, I do want to talk about the production of it.
Okay.
I have a decent amount of sources and probably the most thorough production I've ever written for an episode that we've covered.
All right.
But these sources include a documentary called Caligari, When Horror Came to Cinema, an audio commentary with historian David Callett, an audio commentary with film historians Kevin Lyons and Jonathan Rigby, an article in Turner Classic Movies, an article in the British Film Institute, the article Mad Berlin, Revisiting Dr. Caligari in the Wake of Fascism, the book German Expressionist Films by Paul Cook, and a conversation with my favorite artist and person in the whole wide world, Jules Sayapin Hunter.
Okay.
So, admittedly, it is quite difficult to tell the story of a film as crucial to the horror genre and cinema itself as The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari. And for that matter, to even determine where to begin telling a story that is over 100 years old is a daunting task in and of itself. But I feel like the proper place to start is to shed a little insight on the history of Germany at the time of this film's inception, creation, and release, and to also do my best to define and describe German Expressionism, as The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari is arguably the archetypal example of this art movement in film. So at this time, we find Germany in a very strange and challenging era of its history as a nation. Following the fall of the German Empire in 1918 after their defeat in World War I, Germany would engage in their first experiment with democracy, establishing the Weimar Republic. This era of Germany is sandwiched between the old imperialistic and aristocratic empire and the eventual rise of Nazism that would seize the country in a little over a decade and lead to various atrocities and the start of the Second World War.
Okay.
So you can imagine that the time between those two extremes was rather turbulent, tumultuous, and chaotic.
Mm-hmm.
Threats of civil war, political unrest, famine, inflation, and sickness. But despite this, cinema in Germany was beginning to boom. Keep in mind, in 1918, motion pictures had only been around for about 20 to 30 years.
Damn.
And the industrialized production of films as entertainment had only been around for about 10 years.
That's fucking wild.
But in these very difficult times, cinema was seen as an affordable route of escapism for Germans from their everyday life. And shortly after the end of World War I, there were over 4,000 cinemas across the country, with about 1 million Germans attending showings per day.
Damn.
While cinema had become the newest art form of mass media, and films were beginning to reflect and echo the anxieties and real-life struggles of the era, the concept of confronting reality through artistry wasn't anything new. In fact, artists had already been doing so across different mediums since before the Great War through a unique and unconventional artistic movement, German Expressionism.
Okay.
Now, we have referenced German Expressionism on this show many times in the past, but it's often done so in a way that's kind of undefinable and more a matter of understanding on sight.
Right.
It's kind of in the same way that a Supreme Court justice once explained the idea of obscenity. I don't know what it is, but I know it when I see it. But my darling Jules helped me to identify the main component of German Expressionism, which exists within the word itself, Expressionism.
Mm-hmm.
Rather than attempt to accurately reflect what an objective reality is, Expressionism seeks to convey how this reality feels. The deepest emotions that it inspires in the artist expressed outwardly for the world to witness.
Okay.
Reality becomes skewed and distorted. All that is rigid and simplistic becomes something far more interesting, complex, challenging, and even unsettling. And this can run the gamut of emotions.
Mm-hmm.
It was described very interestingly in that documentary, and this is a direct quote. Expressionism was excessive enthusiasm. It was the abyss. The subject disjointed, a state of shock, pathos, a lack of distance, a sense of being overwhelmed. The world is coming apart and the individual is fragmented, searching for the point to piece them back together.
It's funny. I mean, it's not funny. But I'll say
You immediately abandoned
it. As a person who appreciates that, and also being a person that wrestles with anxiety, that sounds very much like anxiety.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so I'm like, is that why I like it so much?
Yeah. I think it's because it's something from the inside that's very deep.
Okay, so then maybe that's why it's not for me.
Maybe.
And I love that for you. That's really interesting hearing it put that way.
That is interesting.
There was one more way that it was put that I thought was interesting as well. This is from film historian David Callett. He described it as a movement not concerned with utilizing stylized tricks to render the real world, but in using precise techniques to render an unreal world, utilizing the uncanny and grotesque as a form of social critique, which sounds very familiar after you've seen this film.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
So, German Expressionism was very revolutionary in its time. The movement represented through artworks, literature, theater, and even poetry. But it wasn't until the cabinet of Dr. Caligari that this movement finally and fully reached cinema. This is the first German Expressionist film.
Okay.
So, with all of that added context, let's finally get into how this film was made.
Okay.
Before I begin, the main accounts of this film's creation often conflict and contradict with each other,
Love that.
which is always fun.
Yeah.
But let it be known that I did my best.
Okay.
So it all starts with screenwriter Hans Janowitz, who was something of an artistic prodigy. He was first published at age 17, he became a professional critic at age 18, and then an accomplished stage actor by age 22.
Damn.
How would you feel about being critiqued by an 18-year-old?
I'd be like, dude, calm down.
I was going to ask, though, is this still when we're only living to like 30 or 40
Yeah.
or some shit? Or...
Like, this is his midlife
yeah,
crisis.
you have to hurry.
He's middle-aged.
Got a lot of time.
But it was at age 24 when Janowitz would join the Austrian army. And through the horrors of war, he would become greatly disillusioned, especially after the death of his brother Franz, a pacifist poet who died in battle. But on leave from the war in 1918, Janowitz would meet and fall in love with the widowed Gilda Langer, the pair bonding through their grief and the fact that they were both stage actors.
Okay.
Janowitz saw their meeting as fate, and upon hearing this, Langer suggested that they should go see a fortune teller. Once there, they would receive a very ominous prediction.
Oh my God.
The fortune teller told them that Janowitz would return safely home from war, but Langer would die at a very young age.
Ooh.
And the tragic thing is that both predictions came true.
Oh my God.
Langer passed away in 1920, just a few weeks before the premiere of a certain film that she would partially inspire. But in 1918 still,
Yeah.
after Janowitz expressed his desire to someday write a film, Langer suggested a collaboration with a playwright that she had met the year prior, a man by the name of Karl Mayr. Mayr himself also had a very tragic backstory, becoming the breadwinner of his large family as a young man when his wealthy father took his own life after losing his money in poor investments.
Oof.
But Mayr channeled his grief through playwriting, eventually making quite a name for himself, and upon meeting Janowitz, the pair realized how much their writing styles complemented each other. And in the winter of 1918 to 1919, the pair began what would eventually become the Cabinet of Dr. Caligari.
Okay.
It all started as a collage of eerie and disturbing scenes. And for weeks, the pair would take walks together, discussing random ideas, influences, and experiences that could fit into the story that they were weaving. These long walks would usually lead them to an amusement park in Kantstrasse in Berlin,
Okay.
which is a setting where the story would finally take shape.
Uh-huh.
Bringing in elements from Janowitz and Langer's visit to the fortune teller, the pair also encountered a sideshow attraction called Man or Machine, where a strong man would predict the future.
God damn.
Okay.
It's like, you're doing a lot.
Yeah.
You're doing too much.
Isn't there another guy for this? But this was obviously reworked and elaborated on to form the basis of a character we'll soon meet. Another character was born from a story that Mayr told Janowitz. He said that at the start of the war, he, of course, as a pacifist, objected to fighting. And his way of avoiding service was to convince a psychiatrist that he was insane. He says it began a game of cat and mouse with the psychiatrist who attempted to prove that Mayr was faking his insanity.
Oh my God.
This is all very interesting and all, and it's absolute bullshit. It never happened.
I was gonna say,
Yeah.
what the fuck is going on?
But it did lead to the creation of the character of Dr. Caligari.
Okay.
Wait.
Yeah.
He's just a liar.
Yeah, he made that up.
Oh, fuck. It sounded pretty funny.
It sounds-
Yeah.
sounded very
It sounds
funny.
like a film on its own.
Yeah. It's like, I'm gonna let him finish.
Yeah. Like, that's really cool.
Yeah,
but
Oh.
I think they had said that the real reason he didn't go to war, obviously, aside from his pacifism, was, I think, an injury to his foot.
Okay.
So that's a little less interesting.
Yeah.
Was his foot insane?
Yes.
No, that's like-
That's the twist. There's also another really terrifying story that I'll save for the plot summary
okay.
that definitely had an influence on some aspects of the film, so stay tuned.
All right.
But you can even see how all of these elements and these events are starting to form this world and this story of the Cabinet of Dr. Caligari.
Right.
But by April of 1919, poverty-stricken Janowitz and Mayr realized that if this film is going to happen, it needs to happen now. And through the connection of Fritz Lang, who would go on to direct such masterpieces as Metropolis and M,
Okay.
the screenwriters were able to secure a meeting with Decla Films executive Eric Palmer. In a rather unconventional meeting, Yanovitz and Meyer read the entirety of their screenplay for The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari to Palmer.
God damn.
And probably acted it out dramatically.
He's like, I really only booked you guys for 30 minutes.
Yeah, this is crazy.
I have another meeting.
Wait. But Palmer's only response was to tell the men that they weren't allowed to leave his office until they signed a contract with Decla.
Okay.
And they did. For 4,000 marks, which would be about $3,000 in today's money.
Okay.
But after, it's not that bad.
No.
After a few months, the Cabinet of Dr. Caligari finally moved properly into production. Palmer had hoped that Fritz Lang would direct the film, and some historians say that he even began some preliminary work on it, but due to a scheduling conflict with another film, Palmer instead selected Robert Wiene at Lang's request. Wiene had already become a proven commodity for Decla, having directed 30-plus films between 1912 and 1919.
Ooh,
God damn.
So it was kind of a no-brainer.
Yeah.
And as we dive deeper into this plot outline, I'll shed a little light on the inclusion of German Expressionism in the film and who actually deserves credit for it, because everyone involved has tried to take credit for it because it became one of the most striking and memorable things about the film.
Okay.
And it's kind of hilarious because there's someone who clearly deserves the credit, but everyone's like, no, it was me. But following the production of the film, cryptic advertisements began popping up in German magazines all over the country. Posters plastered to walls in various cities declaring, "You must become Caligari."
Not marketing.
Yeah,
that's funny.
cool.
It's like, is this one of the first like viral, you know?
That's really cool.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
But these ads unsettled and enticed audiences to grow interested in this mysterious new film. And by the time the film premiered on February 26, 1920 at the Marmorhaus Theater in Berlin, it became a smash hit critically and commercially, with hundreds of thousands of Germans flocking to see the film in the first few months of its release.
Okay.
Damn.
But something else happened as well. It just so happened that in 1920, after 4 years of isolation, Germany passed a new law reopening the country to foreign film imports. This meant that 15% of the films shown in German theaters would be imported from other countries, but only if this 15% were reciprocated.
Okay.
And The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari was one of the first films to benefit from this new arrangement.
Mm-hmm.
It would open in New York City,
Wow.
Los Angeles, to record-breaking sales, and it would become a repertory feature with the Film Society of London,
Oh, all right.
with similar film clubs responding in kind in France and across the United States, all these groups celebrating films as artworks. These clubs would eventually evolve into small theaters, the international demand for The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari helping to create the earliest art house cinemas all over the world.
Oh, all right.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
But the impact of this film cannot be overstated. Whether through its marketing, its style, its substance, the twist of its narrative, elements of its influence echo through the century of horror films that followed. And it can be felt through the works of some of our favorite filmmakers even today. David Lynch, Martin Scorsese, Alfred Hitchcock, Akira Kurosawa, Guillermo del Toro, Tim Burton.
Right.
Yeah.
That you can see. Yeah.
Yeah.
And on the week of its 106th anniversary, and in honor of Jules' birthday 4 days ago, let's talk about it. Now, before we hypnotize this film, we would like to issue a warning for spoilers. Pod Mortem is a very in-depth podcast, and in thoroughly discussing horror films, we have no choice but to spoil a thing or two. If you don't wish to be spoiled, please go watch the film, then come back and enjoy the show. If you've already seen the film or don't care about spoilers, let's become Caligari. So the film begins with the intricately animated production vanity plate for Decla Films, a feathered crow carrying letters in its talons toward us and rearranging them with its pointed beak to properly spell the name of the production house. Did this surprise anybody else?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was like, you guys were doing this back then?
Yeah. Again, this was not on that other version. So
Really?
so I was like, oh, this is a treat.
That's wild. But to a harsh pulse of piano, its jarring presence punctuated by whining woodwinds and brittle brass, we get the title of the film in German, ghastly green and misshapen letters cast ornately across jagged flames. The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari, a film in 6 acts. So just a few things here very quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Firstly, that is one thing that changes dramatically depending on which version you watch, is the music.
Okay.
Because they do not have the original soundtrack, of course.
Right.
It was just lost to time.
Mm-hmm.
And so there are so many countless versions, but I think that of the ones that I've seen, the one that we watched on Shudder, not sponsored,
Right.
this Kino Lorber version was my favorite of the scores.
Okay.
I thought that the music was perfectly placed. It didn't distract. It was haunting. It was like sometimes whimsical.
The music is good.
It's very impressive. The artistic director for this version was a guy called Cornelius Schwer, and I think I want to seek out other things that he's done.
Okay.
But about this title, not the Cabinet of Dr. Caligari, but the title cards.
Right.
According to the website Art of the Title, the style of the title sequence was completely unheard of at the time. The main focus was usually clarity and readability, and so the standard was just plain text in black and white.
Right.
But the Cabinet of Dr. Caligari ignored all of these previously established rules, which is something that they would continue to do in various ways.
Yeah.
But they gave this very elaborate and memorable font and even tinted it a different color.
Right.
It not only gives the film character, but it's also meant to immerse you in the world of the film.
Okay.
I think it definitely succeeds in that because it fits in with, like I was saying, the style of the sets and everything around them. It fits in with that because I was expecting just black and white.
Yeah.
Right. Well, that's kind of what I've seen.
Uh-huh.
So seeing this, I was a little confused as to what was going on. I was like, so this is just what we're going to see, or you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But no, yeah, it is different because I didn't think that we were going to do this in 1920.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, but it does add character.
Yeah.
And you think about all the work that went into it because literally every line of dialogue looks like this.
Right.
So they had to make it individually, each one.
Yeah.
It's not just fucking making a font and typing it.
Yeah.
Right.
It's very, very cool.
Mm-hmm.
But speaking of this tinting, the first time that I watched the film, I had to admit I was very surprised that it wasn't simply black and white.
Yeah.
And there was like differentiation of different scenes depending on what's going on with color.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, or where they're at.
Yeah.
Yeah.
According to the Australian Centre for the Moving Image, this tinting of films was actually inspired by translucent lighting gels that were used in theater.
Okay.
And so, again, we're pulling in what we know because this is all that we've done before.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask. Are they just putting like the whiskey bottle in front of the fucking light? And
Now it's green.
yeah.
But the way that they accomplished it was by literally submerging the film into dye baths.
Huh.
Where the color would saturate all of the areas of the film that weren't black.
Are we not afraid doing that?
I know, it's like we only got one of these.
Yeah, that sounds a little risky.
Nerve-wracking.
And they were committed. But throughout this film, it is used to determine the time of day or to inspire certain emotions in the viewer depending on the circumstance.
Right.
Which, again, is a really bold choice that I had not anticipated at all.
Yeah.
But the opening credits continue, the piano growing pensive between stabs of ferocity before being overtaken by the ominous melody of an organ as we're treated to the introductory title card. Act 1. We peer through an iris shot, the radius of our vignetted view growing wider and clearer as we set our sights on Francis, a young man in a suit played by Friedrich Feher, and an old man at his left played by Hans Lancer Ludolf.
Feher had been a stage actor, a film actor, and had directed a few films.
Okay.
And the commentary said that his performance in this film kind of gave him like a renewed wave in his career. He was able to establish his own film company and through the 20s made a series of films starring his wife.
Aww.
Hey.
But like you were saying, T, with the, introduction because of the time.
Yeah.
He was a Jewish man and was forced out of Germany in 1933.
Jesus.
And I believe he was making films in Czechoslovakia and then the U.S. after that.
Okay.
But it's like sobering,
Yeah.
you know, because it's like, oh shit, yeah, it is 1920s Germany.
Yeah.
There's some really heinous shit to come.
Mm-hmm.
It's unbelievable the more that we looked into it and researched, because that is not the end of it.
No.
No.
But the pair sit together on a concrete bench in the pale amber of an autumn day, framed by barren branches above them and a bed of long fallen leaves carpeting the long path below them. The old man's eyes widen as he direly declares, "There are spirits. They are all around us. They've driven me from hearth and home, from wife and child." The old man settles forward in his seat, the gravity of his words sinking him deep into a well of his own worries. But Francis shows little interest in quite possibly one of the most terrifying sentences I've ever heard. And instead, he glances down the long path, where through the trees and seemingly in a trance, traipses Jane Olsen, a young woman played by Lil Dagover, in her flowing white gown. There are many times I wrote and read this name as Little Dagover.
Yeah.
Is that her rap name?
Yes.
Did anybody else think that Jane was a spirit or a ghost?
Yes.
Yeah, I was surprised that he could see her too.
Yeah.
It's like, I thought that was the old man's
Yeah.
story.
Yeah, well, the old man really primed the pump, and then she
Yeah.
walks by in this flowing white, and I'm like, oh fuck, they're among us.
It's on cue.
Yeah.
Francis literally pushes the old man out of his line of sight to get a better view of her, her small shoes carrying her through the littered leaves, Jane parting the splintered branches before her like a curtain to cross in front of Francis and the old man. She stares straight ahead, unblinking, but a warm recognition finds Francis, who leans closer to the old man and reveals that Jane is his fiancée.
I'm in love with the spirit.
What are you, Weird Al?
I'm a little Dagover.
Okay. Her greatest hit?
This is when I was like, oh, okay, I guess.
Yeah.
I guess she's just a creepy looking chick, which is cool.
She just likes to look like a ghost.
Yeah.
Yes,
And who
yeah.
doesn't? You
It's
know?
very cool.
Yeah.
But Francis's eyes never leave his love as she continues through the courtyard, gazing up into the sky, a vacant serenity within her stare as she basks in the sunlight. Francis confides in the old man that what he and Jane have lived through is stranger still than what the old man has lived through.
Okay, it's not a contest.
I didn't realize it was.
That's so rude.
But he promises to tell the old man all about it. And as they continue to watch Jane make her absent-minded trek through the trees, Francis's tale begins. The little town where I was born. So this is the point in the film where we kind of realize that we are in a frame story.
Yeah.
And then we're diving into the story, which is the tale that Francis will tell from the past.
Right.
Yes.
This was a massive controversy for absolutely no reason. The screenwriters lost their minds when they learned of its inclusion, blaming Robert Wiene, the director, for it, saying that it undermined the narrative and their artistic intent with the film. But in 1972, 52 years after the film was released, the script book of the film was published, and the original screenplay by Janovitz and Meyer featured a frame device.
You little assholes. That's like crazy.
I know.
Did you guys like that? Yeah, no, we're mad too.
And that's the thing,
crazy.
is that this was one of the things that a lot of people were like, I think we could have done without that.
Yeah.
Critics. And so it's like Janovitz and Meyer were like, yeah, we never wanted it either. There's a lot of weird shit in the background of this film.
That's really fucked up and cowardly.
Yeah.
I think that it is important to hear this story from him.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the visuals that we get, the way that the town is depicted, the way everyone looks, it's important that he is telling us this story.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I think that it works better than if we were just thrown into a film Come on, fuck off, dude. That's crazy. That's crazy.
And they say a lot of things that are completely contradicted by their own screenplay later.
Okay.
It's almost as if they never expected it to be published. And so there it's just like, well, that's my word.
That's wild.
Yeah.
It's pretty crazy. But through an iris wipe, Holstenval, the town of Francis's youth and the setting of his sinister story, appear before us. A mountainous mass of houses stacked one atop the other, stretching distantly into a pointed peak at the horizon, a winding path wrapped around the residences and carving through its center, outstretched like an uncoiled snake. The memory becomes clearer for Francis, who recalls the annual fair. And through another iris wipe, we discover the mountain of manors are now further from us, and in the foreground rests a fairground, triangular tents and planted flags standing upright into the bright morning. But most important of all, Francis remembers him. And as he cowers against the stone at his back, the old man listening intently to his slowly expanding story, we retreat once more into Francis's memory, where creeping up a staircase with the help of his cane is the darkly cloaked Dr. Caligari, played by Werner Krauss. His uneasy steps carry him closer to us, where we linger on him, his mad features barely muffled beneath his tall top hat and eyeglasses as he stands shaking, a stern certainty settling in his eyes as we dip to black.
I loved kind of the quickening of the music as he gets closer because it's like, oh shit, this is clearly the bad guy.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
He's evil as hell.
Yeah.
He actually really was.
Yes.
Because firstly, I was appalled to find out that he's 35 years old in this film.
Yeah.
I don't know how much of that is makeup and how much of that is the racism,
Inside of him.
rotting him like a fucking pumpkin from the inside out. But yeah, this guy would later be a Nazi.
Yeah. I did think he looked like Pappy McPoyle, but then I was like, I'm not doing that to McPoyle.
No,
Pappy,
yeah.
no, we're not doing that.
Pappy doesn't deserve that.
No. There's a shot later where he walks into a building and it's like, I think that's Danny DeVito. But
We're not doing
doing
that.
that
No.
no. Danny DeVito is a national treasure.
That's
Yes.
right.
So no. So I did want to tell you the story that I hinted at during the introduction from Janowitz's youth.
Mm-hmm.
It was an experience that he had at a carnival in Holstenval, Hamburg, Germany in 1913. Janowitz had seen an attractive woman there, and he was working up the courage to talk to her. He followed behind her on the midway for a little while, trying to approach her, but he watched as she suddenly dipped into some bushes. A little while later, an ordinary-looking man steps out of the bushes and walks away, but the girl never reappears. So the next day, he learns that a girl had been murdered at the carnival, and he realized that he must have been a witness to it.
Oh, shit.
Jesus.
So, certain that he was a witness, he decided to go to the girl's funeral, and within the margins of the mourners, Janowitz saw the man who emerged from the bushes. He never learned his name, and the murder went unsolved.
Oh.
But that feeling is something that he wanted to capture in this film and in Caligari's essence.
Okay.
Yeah, I would throw up.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's true. He wasn't lying about that.
That's true. And that's also why this film takes place in a town called Holstenval,
Okay.
which is where the carnival was.
Right.
That's terrible.
Yeah.
But as a thoughtful piano plays, Francis then introduces us to his friend Alan, played by Hans Heinrich von Twardowski.
So the guy he just said, he was in Casablanca
Very cool.
in 42.
It's like you just heard his name. It's fine.
You heard it.
The studious young man grasps a book in his hands, perusing its pages in the morning light as he crosses through his bedroom. The sun shines through the crooked bars of his window, the sunlight outstretched into the shape of a star over the dusty floorboards at his feet. He steps absently to the center of his room, resting a hand on the tall back of his chair as he continues to read a passage of text. And when I say tall back of his chair,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I believe this is 10 bucks.
I will be honest that the way everything already is kind of looks a little obscure. This chair, I was like, does this even have a seat or is that just all back? I was like, but there is you can see the seat, but it's very hard to see
It's
because of how tall, like you're saying, the back is.
It's
Yeah.
overshadowed.
Yeah.
It's skewed for sure.
Yeah. But I think, again, that's one of the cool things that like every item has character.
Yeah.
Yes.
But a thought seems to find Alan as he tears himself away from his book, setting it down on the desk in the corner of the room to peer through the glass of his misshapen window. A smile stretches across his face in the golden light, and he darts off screen to snag his coat and hat, the score growing playful as he exits his apartment for the world outside. And it's out on the street where Alan encounters an uncredited young man through the sea of passersby who reaches into the satchel at his shoulder to hand Alan a flyer. As Alan walks slowly through the spiraling streets, the tilted neighborhood towering around him, and the atmospherically askew light fixtures hanging above him, he reads, "Special edition, fair in Holstenval for the first time, entertainments of every variety." And with the arrival of this news, Alan climbs a set of nearby stairs to ascend into an adjacent building. And in one of the apartments inside, we find Francis, resting forlornly against his desk, a cluttered shelf of crooked books in front of him, and his living space framed by flowing stage curtains. Alan appears in an instant, carving through the morning light cast through the three-cornered window to settle into a seat at the arm of Francis's chair. He gets a normal chair. He gestures emphatically at the flyer in his hand, pulling Francis from his seat to properly propose in a passionate plea. "Come, Francis, let's go to the fair." Francis barely has enough time to read the flyer before the energetic Alan pulls him by the arm out of his apartment.
I'm glad that he's got a friend. Let's go do something.
Yeah. And again, it's so interesting to me because everything that I know of Caligari before watching the film, I don't even think of these dudes.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, I don't think of them as characters. I don't think of them, especially Francis being our protagonist.
Right.
It's like I just see a man in a coffin
Yeah.
Yeah.
and a big top hat.
I did forget about him.
So now that we've seen some of these interiors, some of these incredible exteriors, and various skewed and oddly shaped objects and items, I think it's time to discuss how The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari became the first German expressionist film.
Okay.
If you ask the writers, it was their idea.
Okay.
Janowitz claimed that he had written in his screenplay for the sets to echo the designs of the artist Alfred Cuban, and he said that the design team must have misinterpreted his notes and made the designs cubist instead. This, he said, led to the expressionistic environments. But once again, thanks to that script that was printed in 1972, we learned that there is no mention of Cuban
Wow.
or cubist or anything like it in the script, so that was a lie.
Wow.
Palmer, the producer, claimed that it was his idea and that he was on set and helped the design team refine their ideas. The only problem is Palmer was never on set for the production of The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari.
Okay.
Another producer, Rudolf Meinert, was on set instead.
Yeah.
So that was a lie.
Okay, Maury.
Yeah, the lie detector test determined.
We got a lot of lies here tonight.
The true story is that these designs were born from the minds of artists Hermann Warm, Walter Reimann, and Walter Rohrig. Palmer had initially wanted to use Decla Films' own design team, but it was the other producer, Meinert, who took it upon himself to bring the script to Warm. Warm was immediately interested in working on the film, and he was noted as saying, "Films should be drawings come to life." And he didn't want to do anything naturalistic in this film and instead wanted to give it something special.
Okay.
So after discussions with Reimann and Rohrig, who were colleagues of his and expressionistic artists in their own right, they settled on an expressionistic design. And after drawing up some sketches, they brought them to the director, Robert Wiene, and the producer Meinert.
Mm-hmm.
Wiene loved it immediately and was on board from jump, but Meinert took a little convincing. Once he agreed, though, he threw his full weight behind it, telling the design team to go as eccentric as they possibly could and not pull any punches.
All right.
He said that they could even promote the film as an artistic experiment, which, hilariously, he said would make the film critic-proof. He's like, if it's a success, that's great. If it's not, then we can just say they weren't ready yet.
Kind of brilliant.
But the studio that they filmed in left very little room for the sets, only about 6 meters by 6 meters. And so this adds to a feeling of claustrophobia throughout the entire film.
Yeah.
These hallways feel like they're closing in on you.
Mm-hmm.
Even when he meets the newsboy with the flyer, these buildings are like menacing.
Yeah.
But the funny thing is, Varm credits Meinert's support as the deciding factor to include expressionistic designs in the film. And he noted that Meinert did so against all studio opposition. And the only opposition that historians can point to is Eric Palmer, who tried to take credit for the designs after the fact.
My God. This feels like on Friday the 13th when they were like, no, when I just happened to have a hockey mask in my bag. It's like, y'all did not all have hockey masks.
No, and why would you?
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess, it's a good idea when everybody's trying to take
True.
credit for it.
Yeah.
And the very ridiculous thing, Janovitz and Meyer, the two writers, they said that Robert Wiene never wanted to do an expressionistic film. And in fact, he fought against their ideas to do it. It wasn't their idea. Wiene was on board immediately. And he went on to make other expressionistic films. So it's just, again, these contradictions.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
But in the Holstenval town hall, through a pointed and crooked corridor, creeps the conspicuous Dr. Caligari, the score plotting curiously at his every step forward. As he reaches the door to an office at the end of the hall, the walls scrawled and streaked darkly all around him, Caligari removes his top hat to greet an uncredited man exiting the room. The well-dressed man greets him in return, but when Caligari retrieves a business card from his coat pocket, the man warns him not to go inside. He says that the town clerk is in a vile temper today. But Caligari ignores this man's advice and instead just coyly offers him 2 very unevenly cut business cards.
I know.
They're homemade.
The name of Dr. Caligari is emblazoned boldly across them in elaborate lettering.
The subtle off-white color.
Yes.
The well-dressed man shrugs, leading Caligari into the office, where he places one of the cards in front of the town clerk, who is perched on a stool high above the meager men who surround his desk. After making a swift introduction on behalf of Dr. Caligari, the well-dressed man makes his exit, but when Caligari removes his top hat to offer a respectful bow to the man above him, the town clerk glares down at him with disdain. He shouts sharply for Caligari to wait, leaving the embarrassed doctor to take a small seat in the corner of the room.
I don't think he's going to forget about this.
It's like a telltale game.
Yeah.
He was warned, though.
He
told him.
He's like, I said he was in a bad mood, dude. He clutches his cane firmly in his Mickey Mouse
Yes.
Yeah. What the fuck?
style gloves.
Yeah.
I loved it so much that it's like the drawing of the lines
Yes.
Yeah.
placed onto the gloves.
Yes.
Yeah.
And he exchanges a furious glance backward at the town clerk until the office is finally clear of any other patron. Caligari then creeps up to the clerk again, who has returned to his work without a word to the doctor, his seat appearing far more uncomfortable than I ever imagined.
Yeah.
But even now, all alone in the office, the town clerk shouts down to Caligari, "Wait!" The perturbed and perplexed doctor once again returns to his seat. After a mere moment of jotting something into the pages of a large book in front of him, the town clerk slams it shut, descending his tall seat to finally approach Dr. Caligari. The doctor is finally granted permission to speak. Caligari explaining that he wishes to apply for a permit to present his spectacle at the fair.
Okay, last minute.
Yeah. It's like, dude, that's today. And again, it's kind of funny to me, this like bureaucratic bullshit. It's like, well, I got to get a permit.
Yeah.
But when the town clerk wonders what kind of spectacle the doctor has in mind, Caligari answers simply, a somnambulist. The town clerk can't help but laugh, and rather than helping Caligari himself, he calls over another colleague, pawning him off and making a rather inconsiderate exit from the office.
You couldn't have done that earlier?
No. There's just two dudes back there the whole time.
Yeah.
The town clerk's boorish behavior is not soon forgotten by Caligari, who spies him through sinister eyes as he departs, the doctor finally turning to join the clerk's colleagues at a distant table to fill out his application. But sometime later, the fairgrounds are filled with lively townsfolk, twirling tents and assorted attractions. An organ grinder stands at the entrance, greeting children and adults alike, with generous patrons offering coins to the small monkey who is perched atop his cart.
The monkey's adorable.
Yeah.
Uncredited. I don't understand.
A damn shame.
Yeah.
But onto the scene stumbles Dr. Caligari, a foreboding score accompanying him as he surveys his cheerful surroundings. Every time I see this dude, I'm like, here comes trouble.
Yeah.
He stops to stare somewhat cruelly at an uncredited little person who leaves a coin for the monkey at the organ grinder's cart before finally descending the steps to enter the fairgrounds proper. I don't know if it was the film or just the way it was shot or whatever, but did Caligari walk like Dr. Vonnegut to anybody else down these steps?
Yes.
Okay.
I was going to ask because I thought about it here and then somewhere else. And then a little later, I was like, this has to be where somebody watched this one was like, I can make that even scarier.
I can terrify people with that.
But Caligari makes his way through the crowded midway and beneath the slanted awning of his assigned stage, emerging from within its wings, carrying a large bell and a rolled-up scroll attached to a wooden easel. He rings the bell madly, its tone carrying across the midway, exciting and inviting members of the public to gather at the edge of the stage. Caligari calls out to them, gaining their attention with a lively, "Step right up!" He then unrolls the scroll, and painted across the parchment is the depiction of a pale and frail man. Caligari continues with great ceremony. Presenting here for the first time, Cesare, the somnambulist. As he emphasizes this announcement with a few emphatic points of his cane, we reach the end of Act 1.
That's fast.
Yeah. Dude kind of looked like the screaming guy on the painting.
Yeah, honestly.
I can see that.
And that's an expressionistic painting.
Yeah. Okay.
So there you go. See, you know more than you think.
Yeah. See. All right. I learned a little.
There you go.
We're then treated not only to a title card welcoming us to Act 2, but to the somber chords of a piano, we're given the grim details of a chilling event through green text. That night, the first in a series of mysterious crimes took place. The sun rises upon a pair of uncredited policemen who, through the morning light pouring in through a slanted window, stand bewildered above the disturbed blankets of a bed. The score grows ominous as the lead detective declares, "Murder! The town clerk has been killed, stabbed in the side with a strange pointed instrument."
What?
Damn.
It's like, hold on.
He was being rude, but goddamn.
That's a bit far.
Yeah.
I mean, we recently talked about somebody getting killed for snapping a photograph.
That's true.
Yeah.
This-
All right.
Maybe a little less than that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because he wasn't in any danger.
No.
He was just rude.
He even left.
Yeah.
Pointed you in the right direction after a while, but I mean.
And he still got his permit.
He did. Yeah. He did.
It's not like he was denied.
No.
But with no clear suspect, the detective paces around the room and over to a window with his concerned colleagues, glancing back at the butchered body that rests in the bed behind them. But from this dour discovery, we then return to the fairgrounds, where Francis and Alan have finally made their way to take part in the festivities.
There's a couple of times that I know this is very old, but there's a couple of times that monkey looks really stressed. When there's a lot of people around him, I was like, get away, children, everybody else.
Give him some goddamn air.
They pass the organ grinder, who is working overtime for a gathered crowd and putting that monkey through a lot of stress.
Yes, he's working.
But they descend the steps and find their way over to a massive audience that stands at the edge of Dr. Caligari's stage. The doctor stands before them, ringing the hell out of his bell and gesturing over to the unrolled illustration of Cesare at his side. He barks once more. "Step right up! Presenting here for the first time, Cesare, the somnambulist." He shouts with flowery showmanship. The miraculous Cesare, 23 years old. He has slept for 23 years continuously, day and night. Right before your eyes, Cesare will awaken from his death-like trance. Step right up.
Was any party all kind of like lucky?
I know, dude. God damn.
Well, but I mean, he's just asleep, right?
Yeah, I mean,
Just kind of shake him a little bit to wake him up.
Well, but I mean, he sleeps hard.
He sleeps real hard.
All right.
23 years.
Yeah.
His Fitbit doesn't know what the fuck's going on. But having first gained their curiosity, Caligari now has attained their attention. And he peels the curtain of the tent open, allowing the gathered crowd to pile inside one by one. And at the center of the group, we spy the intrigued but somewhat incredulous Francis and Alan. We're then treated to a title card just before the official start of the show. The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari. Inside the tent, before his attentive audience, Dr. Caligari emerges, ringing his bell and parting a large curtain to ascend the small stage inside. And yes, he does have a little help from an off-screen stagehand with a big-ass rope that pulls most of the curtain. I don't know if we were supposed to see that.
Yeah.
We did, though.
But behind the curtain stands a thin coffin, upright against the tent wall. Caligari gestures dramatically toward the coffin, enticing the audience before reaching for an object resting atop the splintered structure. An object that appears to be an inanimate carbon rod. But with this rod, Caligari pushes the uneven coffin doors open, unveiling the unconscious Cesare, played by Conrad Veidt, who lies listlessly within its wooden walls.
I would appreciate the full beat that they gave him while he was asleep. I mean, that really does save time, and I would appreciate
They keep him looking nice.
You know?
Well, he was asleep. He wasn't putting up a fight.
No.
Conrad Veidt. He was also in Casablanca in 42.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah, him I recognize.
Uh-huh. I remember he was in a film called, I think it's The Man Who Laughs. He played Gwynplaine.
Mm-hmm.
And that was, again, we're talking about things that come from so long ago.
Mm-hmm.
That was one of the biggest inspirations on the Joker.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
I, on commentary, learned a few interesting things about him in like contrast to Krauss. Veidt was a like staunch anti-Nazi, like to the point where he was blacklisted. He ended up going to Britain and the US, I mean, for Hollywood,
Right.
to make films there, which I was like, thank God,
Yes.
because fucking Christ,
Mm-hmm.
fuck Nazis.
Yes.
And it's sad that we still have to say that as, you know, in 2026.
Yeah.
But he actually did consider himself a medium and a spiritualist. Like Veidt did.
Oh, okay.
Which was interesting. And another interesting thing is that, well, he was 6'3",
Oh.
which he seems very tall.
Mm-hmm.
But in part due to this stature, he was considered for Universal's Dracula.
Wow.
Okay.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
That would have been so different.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
It's like you can kind of see it though.
Uh-huh.
But it's like, yeah, I thought that was wild.
Yeah.
And just on sight, seeing Cesare, his appearance. This, to me, it's like this is the archetype for nearly every Tim Burton character ever.
Yes.
Yes.
The doctor stands at his side, beckoning. Cesare, can you hear me? Cesare, I'm calling you. I, Dr. Caligari, your master. He orders Cesare to awaken for a moment from his dark night, and in a tight iris shot, we settle on Cesare's pale face. His painted lips tremble, and his darkly accented eyelids quake beneath his thick eyebrows and unkempt mop of hair. But as his jaw clenches tightly, Cesare finally stirs awake, his 23-years-long slumber disturbed by one word from his master, his weary eyes growing wide as they take in the world that waits for him on the other side of his sleep. The long-limbed man, clad all in black, lumbers out from the coffin walls at Dr. Caligari's direction, his hands outstretched before him, only to be lowered once more with one downward turn of that inanimate carbon rod. Francis and Alan stand at the front of the crowd, their faces awash with great wonder at the seemingly supernatural sight before them. Caligari then takes a much-deserved bow, top hat in hand, as he addresses his captive audience. Ladies and gentlemen, Cesare, the somnambulist, will answer your questions. He warns that Cesare knows every secret, that he knows the past and sees the future, but he invites them to judge for themselves, imploring them, don't hold back, ask away. I see some head shaking already around the room. Cesare stands swaying before the crowd at center stage, unblinking, as Alan gathers his courage to approach the somnambulist. Francis attempts to hold Alan back from the stage for some reason.
He's like, dude, you don't want to hear what this is. I wouldn't advise you to go out there.
But Alan pushes past his friend to the great delight of Dr. Caligari. Sweet strings swell in the score as an earnest Alan asks, how long will I live?
Out of every fucking question that you could have asked.
That's insane.
Yeah.
Especially when we learn what is on his mind later. It's like, there are plenty of
Yeah.
things.
Yeah.
Like, Jesus Christ.
I know.
And again, you can't help but think of Janowitz's visit with Gilda Langer
Yeah, for
to
sure.
the fortune teller.
Yeah.
But Cesare, without the slightest hesitation, turns to face Alan with an unnerving answer. Until the break of dawn.
Like the next dawn?
A dawn.
Wait, what dawn?
I know. He's got them Shinigami eyes. That's why he can see. He knows. Shouldn't have asked him.
Caligari's got the death note.
Yes. Yeah.
It's like, Alan, I don't know your last name. Alan does not take this well.
Would you?
No. Horror seizes him, his features aghast, before settling into a rather unsettling smile. Francis's eyes widen at the certainty of the somnambulist, but he quickly puts his arm around Alan, guiding him out of Caligari's tent. Through the pale blue veil of evening, a lamplighter crosses an empty street to illuminate an outstretched fixture, and as he disappears into the dark, we find Francis and Alan walking together on their way home. But a poster on the wall captures Alan's attention, the young man lunging forward to point a startled finger at its text for Francis to read as well. Murder in Holstenval, 1,000 marks reward. They don't say for capture. They don't
I was going to say.
They say, we'll give you $1,000 if you talk to us. It's like a reward.
They're just lonely.
Yeah. And scared, dude. Francis is barely able to pull his fearful friend away from this news. But a new energy finds them both when through the spiraling streets and to the center of the path enters Jane, the two men rushing to greet her warmly. They both offer a kind hand to her, which the smiling Jane accepts, her dark lips parting in an inviting smile. They continue on together through the streets, Jane standing between the men as they guide her home.
You know what this reminded me of? That scene in 30 Days a Night.
Oh, shit.
Little 3-man. They were going to go, a little pickup game.
Oh, I forgot.
I forgot about
that. Bet. Yeah.
Look, listen, Alan has had Doomcast on him.
Yeah, well, he's gotta hurry.
Let him have some joy. It's like, God damn, dude.
But back at the fairgrounds, Caligari bounds out from his crooked caravan, the score growing somewhat mischievous as he peers around the slanted structure, checking to see if the coast is clear. Satisfied with what he sees, Caligari climbs back into his small home, and we then return to Francis and Alan, having already escorted Jane to her house. It's like, what the hell is he plotting?
Yeah, he was tweaking a little bit.
Are you okay?
Yeah, dude, what's wrong?
They walk through the evening together, both men seemingly stricken as they approach the exterior steps to Francis's apartment. Francis reaches for the door, but before he steps inside, he leans over to offer a surprisingly honest word to his friend. Alan. We both love her. Alan exhales a deep sigh, smiling in confirmation, and rather than compete with his friend for Jane's affections, Francis suggests that they'll leave the choice up to her, but whomever she chooses, he says that they shall remain friends.
I wasn't expecting this.
No.
Because I think that at the beginning, like she's introduced as his fiance.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of how I was looking at it when we see them again.
Yeah.
And so he's like, look, dude, we're, you know what I mean? Like, no hard feelings or whatever. It's, like, I think it's a little more complicated than that.
Yeah. And it's very interesting because I had mentioned in the introduction, Janovitz had fallen in love with Gilda Langer, the actress.
Yeah.
And the part of Jane was actually based on her and written for her to play.
Okay.
Oh, man.
But they had said that some sources said that she got sick at the beginning of the production. Other sources said that she fell in love with another German director and wasn't involved at all at this point. And so they had to cast someone else.
Okay.
But the interesting thing is that Karl Mayer, the other screenwriter, was also in love with Gilda Langer. And so that leads to this.
You're right. Are you just putting your dirty laundry in the
Yeah.
That's
Pretty much.
Yeah.
He's like, and one of the characters is a liar.
A lot of things. But the two men shake on it. A lefty shake.
And we know who she ends up with.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But they share full eye contact and offer a nod of their heads before parting company to their separate residences. But later that night, Alan rests all alone in his bed, and in the blue darkness, he stirs awake as a shadow suddenly looms large, stretching across his jaggedly painted bedroom wall. I did notice in the set design there is a sharp point pointed directly at his head. Which is like, I know we all know what's about to happen.
Yeah.
But that's pretty cool.
Okay.
Alan stirs within his sheets, sitting upright and reaching his arms out defensively into the dark, pleading with his unseen assailant. But the sinister shadow stalks closer, brandishing a sharp-bladed weapon, the score growing frenzied as the man seizes Alan. The pair's struggle is silhouetted against the wall, the anonymous attacker quickly gaining the upper hand on the hopeless man in bed, and as he brings the blade down, we reach the dramatic end of Act 2.
I feel like murder is cheating.
One would say.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like if he was like before dawn or whatever, and then he goes home and it's some Final Destination ass, like this, it's that, and then his head's chopped off or whatever, I'm a little more impressed.
Right.
This is more of a threat
Yeah.
Yeah. That
than
is
like
true.
foresight.
I'm going to kill you tonight. Was anybody else thinking that Francis killed him?
I did think about it for a second.
Okay.
I was like, is that his buddy? Is that somebody else? But we did earlier learn about a murder.
Yes.
So
Yes. Yes.
I was like, what? Who is this?
That would
Is it
be
the Night
really
Man?
fucked up if he's like, look, may the better man win.
yeah,
like 5 minutes
it's-
later, he's murdering him. That's
His friend?
crazy. Yeah.
I think the thing that it was for me is that, of course, you already have this premonition.
Yeah.
And so it's like, are you taking advantage of that?
Okay.
And then you get what you want in the end because it's like, well, who is she going to choose?
Right.
The only one left.
Yeah. And the shadow was a little thicker than Cesare.
yeah.
Let's be honest.
Let's be honest. It did not look like that man in the
No.
coffin. But something I read as far as how this scene was shot is that this is one of the first times that a light is cast to form a shadow against a wall to preserve a mystery.
Ah,
that's cool.
Okay, yeah.
So again, where you're like, things that are just so commonplace, you're like, yeah, of course you would shoot it like that.
Yeah.
They had to invent that.
right.
That.
You're
I
so
said,
impressed.
Yeah, I can't even speak anymore.
Well, it's over 100 years old.
It is.
Yeah.
That's how they used to talk.
Yeah.
I've been doing a lot of research. But Act 3 begins as the sun rises on the very next morning, and from the street we watch as the landlady, played by Elsa Wagner, enters Alan's apartment, only to discover a startling sight inside. She staggers back into the street, stumbling past a few pedestrians over to Francis's building. Francis rises early in his apartment, pacing past a chaise lounge as he puts the final knot into his tie. But the landlady launches into Francis's living room. Is there a fucking door on this thing? Are you allowed to do that?
I know. Come on, dude.
Like, I own this building too. But she frightens Francis with terrible news. Mr. Francis, Mr. Allen is dead. Murdered. She crumbles into tears, searching for a handkerchief in her apron to wipe at her face. But Francis turns away from her, anguish grasping him in its firm grip. But very peculiarly, his hands find each other, his fingers tinting ever so slightly.
Okay, Mr. Burns.
Yeah. Do you love it when a plan comes together? Like, what? I think it's little things like this that I was like, was it their intention to like cast doubt on him right now?
Right.
But when he collects himself, Francis asks the landlady to take him to Alan's apartment, which she does. Francis stands frozen at the sight of the murder scene, dropping his hat to the floor as his measured steps carry him over to the sheets strewn across the ground. He staggers, losing his footing and having to hold himself up by the board at the edge of the bed. He turns away from the horror, as does the landlady, who steps over to inspect the shattered glass at Alan's window. So he just broke in.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
See, this is why I fully thought it was just the doctor doing this.
Uh-huh.
Because the dude had slighted him.
Mm-hmm.
He's dead.
Uh-huh.
His act or whatever predicted that this dude was going to die next. Busting open a window, there's nothing supernatural about that.
No.
So I mean, it would be in his benefit for that prediction to come true.
Right.
And so if he is just this like bloodthirsty murderer, I think that's a reason for him to like get his fix. You know what I mean?
That's fair. But Francis remembers something that I never would have forgotten in a million years. The somnambulist's prophecy.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, oh yeah.
The scariest.
What is that reminding me of right now?
He reaches a hand to his temple as if to quell this seemingly impossible thought as the darkness of an iris shot encircles him. And I neglected to say earlier, but if you love iris shots,
Yeah.
this is the film for you. When we return, we are resting at the bottom of the swirling steps that lead up to the police station. And there is something about this shot and so many shots later, but this is like cut out from, in my mind, a Universal horror film.
Right.
Okay.
Like
yeah.
you see framings like this all the time.
Mhm.
And then I hear that James Whale and Todd Browning were massive fans of the Cabinet of Dr. Caligari.
Okay.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
But Francis races upstairs to the symmetrically arranged station where two uncredited officers, each more mustachioed than the last,
Yeah.
sit perched at their tall desks at the far wall. How do you drink with that thing? I don't.
I know.
The frantic Francis finds them, and with a dramatic flourish in the score, he explains what happened to Alan, miming the blade that brought an end to his friend's life. And again, I was like, how do you know that?
Right.
Yeah.
But Francis promises that he will not rest until he gets to the bottom of these dreadful deeds. He's like, I want that 1,000 marks.
Well, in my mind, if we're not connecting it to Cesare at this point and he can tell everything, why don't you go ask him?
Oh. So yeah, killed.
Yeah. Oh, no, that was me.
Something else, though, that is really funny to me is that from this point forward, I have no fucking idea what Francis's background is, but he completely ingratiates himself
Yes.
within this police department.
Yeah.
He's just a part of it now. He's going out on investigations.
He's their fucking captain.
Yeah. He's directing
really
them. It's like, oh, okay. But then again, if we bring it back into context with the ending.
Right.
Yes. Yeah.
The officers, seemingly moved by his impassioned speech, send for the lead detective, who joins them in the office to hear the end of Francis's declarations. But afterward, Francis marches mournfully down the staircase, which oddly appears to be darker and more shadowed than the last time we saw it.
Mm-hmm.
But he stops at the bottom, slicking his hair back with the back of his hand, before hiding his face within the crook of his elbow in a very Dracula-like posture.
Yeah.
But only after doing this does he finally make his exit. And I was like, yeah, that's guilty as hell. I'm still thinking this.
Yeah.
But Francis stumbles his way over to the Olsen residence, staggering past the slanted exterior wall to be cradled in the arms of the waiting Jane, who clutches his hand tightly in hers, leaning in closer in an attempt to ascertain what's wrong with him. When the distraught Francis breaks the terrible news of Alan's murder to her, Jane instinctively pushes Francis away from her, the young man settling into the seat that Jane once occupied, as she struggles to grasp the gravity of what she's just been told.
He's like, damn, you're like really upset.
So I guess that was who he...
Yeah, that was...
So if I had died, do you think you'd be crying this hard? Or like harder? Do you think?
His fingers are crossed behind his back. Her eyes search her surroundings aimlessly as shock seizes her, Francis rising from his seat to guide her inside her own home. The pair step into the pristine rose-colored parlor, Jane disappearing into an adjacent room as Francis paces past the furniture and steadies himself with a firm hand on the coffee table. Dr. Olsen, Jane's father, played by Rudolph Lettinger, charges through the flowing lace curtains that frame the parlor and right over to Francis, desperate to hear this unbelievable news for himself. And once Francis shares the lurid and horrid details with the doctor, Olsen assures Francis that he will personally obtain police authorization to examine the somnambulist. This seems to calm Francis a bit. But elsewhere in Halstenwall, a criminal, played by Rudolf Klein-Roga, stalks his way through the blue evening, slinking down a slanted path to sneak into the unlocked door of a home. But an uncredited woman, seemingly the criminal's target, cries out into the night through her upstairs window, "Murder! Help! Murder!" Her fearful screams scare off the criminal, who races out of the house, a sharp knife clutched in his hand. But before he can make his escape, he is soon surrounded and swarmed by several uncredited officers. They seize him and disarm him just outside of Francis and Alan's apartment buildings, dragging him off to the police station.
It can't be this easy.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, you got me.
Yeah.
I'm just some random guy.
Clutching a knife.
But in the golden light of morning, we find Dr. Caligari in his caravan, stirring a bowl of soup. Once it's properly mixed, he creaks Cesare's coffin open, the somnambulist lying flat on his back inside. Caligari lifts him upright, Cesare still in his serene slumber as the doctor reaches for the bowl of soup to feed him.
So this was interesting because they're alone.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's not like this is a grift or a hoax. Like this dude is really asleep.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And I have to say, was anybody else put into the mind of weapons?
That's what I was going to ask. So I guess he's...
Aunt Gladys?
Yeah, he's really Aunt Gladys, right?
So
Like, there's a few elements.
yeah,
Yeah.
no, in the soup.
Yeah.
I wonder if it's Campbell's.
Oh, was that around?
I don't know.
The unconscious and absent Cesare opens his mouth instinctively for each bite offered to him by Caligari, but his meal is soon disturbed when there is a knock at the door of the caravan.
So I did look real quick, and Campbell's Soup is a 155-year-old company.
Holy
so
my
maybe it was.
Yeah, I don't see Caligari making his own soup.
Yeah. Where's my can opener?
Yeah, seriously. Caligari rushes to settle Cesare back inside of his coffin, lowering its split doors over the face of the somnambulist before finally crossing the floor to answer the door. Once he does, he finds Francis and Dr. Olson waiting for him. Caligari descends his steps and closes the door behind him, blocking it with his entire body. It's a little suspicious.
No.
But as soon as Olson makes with the warrant, Caligari steps away from the door with great reluctance, allowing the men inside of the caravan. Meanwhile, the criminal and would-be murderer from the night before is dragged up the staircase to the police station, where he's hauled before the lead detective and outright admonished by the arresting officers, who hand the confiscated weapon over to the detective. The detective holds it in his hands, inspecting it, as the criminal stands idly by, wordless and looking fairly pathetic. As he's taken away, the lead detective appears certain that they've gotten their man, and a few uncredited officers offer their emphatic agreement. But back at the caravan, Dr. Olson inspects the unconscious Cesare, Francis looking on curiously as Dr. Caligari seethes in the corner beneath his tall top hat. Olson, over the bullshit, demands for Caligari to wake Cesare up. As Caligari seems to bark his refusal, Francis is drawn outside by the calls of a newspaper vendor, stepping out of the caravan to snag a copy for himself. He reads the front page. Extra, extra, Holstenval mystery solved. 2-time murderer caught in 3rd attempt.
How convenient.
Yeah. And it's also very funny. It's like, this isn't your turf, dude.
Get the hell out of here.
Olson joins him outside to peruse the newsprint, the pair flanked by a grinning Caligari, who removes his hat to bid them a dramatic goodbye as they make their hasty exit. But just as soon as they depart, Caligari, free and clear from their prying eyes, can't seem to stifle his laughter. He throws his head back in a thunderous cackle as he returns to his caravan, the door closing behind him and concluding Act 3.
Good thing that this scary man with his top hat and Mickey Mouse gloves and catatonic friend are off the hook. Yeah. Who were we to ever question them?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Just the strangest pair rolling into town.
I know. What the
You know what I'm thinking now? Like thinking of the way that Caligari looks with the hat and like the cape or coat or whatever in his hair. Is it giving the Babadook to anybody else?
Oh, absolutely.
Do you see that?
Yeah.
Right?
I also kind of got the penguin.
Yeah. Yeah.
It might just be more Danny
DeVito?
DeVito. I don't know.
Well,
I'm not sure. Act 4 finds Jane resting within her rose-colored parlor at home, reading to distract herself from the horrors of Holstenval. A title card gives us a bit of insight into her mindset, explaining, worried because her father has been away so long. Feels like we could have done without that.
yeah.
She's expressing a lot already.
Yeah.
But Jane rises from her seat, glancing uneasily around the room before closing her book and setting it down on top of the table in front of her. But at the police station, the shifty-eyed criminal is brought back into the bullpen, where Francis and Dr. Olson have joined the other officers for a proper interrogation. The criminal finally pleads his case, swearing that he had nothing to do with the two murders, Though he does confess that he did try to kill that old woman the night before.
I laughed out loud because we know he's telling the truth.
Right.
We know he
Right.
didn't do those other two, but leading with, yeah, I did try to kill that old lady is fucking wild, and it doesn't help your credibility.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's so crazy. It might make sense.
I
It might
Honestly.
be true.
He's like, but those other two weren't me.
Yeah. But he said that he was hoping to utilize the same method of murder, puncturing her side with a similar knife to throw suspicion on the mysterious murderer.
An attempted murderer, but not a liar.
No.
Yeah, right.
Yes.
He's like, yeah, I was trying to use it.
And there's a story here that we don't know. What did this lady? Like, why did she deserve this? That's crazy.
What the fuck? Listening to it and thinking about it, I was like, so what? Yeah, you're right. What beef was there?
I don't know.
Because you were going to do it the same way to cover it up. This is personal.
Yeah.
Well,
What?
it's like, yeah, it's finally my chance to get this.
Yes,
fucking
yeah.
out of here.
And it's so funny. He's like, one murder, that's terrible. Two murders.
Yeah.
He's like, shit, I got an
That was
idea.
my chance.
Francis and Olson seem to believe his story. The pair, I guess, been deputized or something. Because they're literally in control of this interrogation. But the young man is fraught with consternation as he leans against the elder man's chair. Jane, though, reaches the fairgrounds all alone, descending the steps to cross through the midway in search of her father. But once she reaches Caligari's tent, the illustration of Cesare looming large over the Barkers' stage, the doctor parts the curtains sharply, his prompt presence startling Jane. He stalks over to the edge of the stage, leaning his ear closer to Jane as she asks if he's seen her father, Dr. Olson, here. Caligari initially shakes his head, but a sick smile settles on his face as a sinister idea seems to find him. And removing his hat, he gestures toward the open flap of the tent, and with great exuberance, he invites Jane inside. I'm good.
I'm
Yeah.
like survival instincts of a fucking ant.
Yes.
And I think that's probably disparaging ants because they seem to have a good system going on.
They-
Why would you go in there?
I don't know.
The score grows tense as Caligari guides Jane over to Cesare's upright coffin, opening the doors with a poke of his cane and revealing the somnambulist to the frightened young woman. Her breath quickens, anxious thoughts pervading her mind as with a wave of a wand, Cesare slowly stirs awake, his body immobile and his eyes conveying far more than words ever could. His stern stare strikes fear into the heart of Jane, who shrieks madly, racing as fast as she can out of the tent as Caligari and Cesare watch her depart, the score reaching a crescendo as she makes her panicked exit. But the shot lingers on Caligari, who seems to take great pleasure in what has just transpired. What the hell are you doing?
I don't know.
Like, there was no need for him to do this to her.
No.
No, especially since he's like off the hook now.
Yeah. So I'm going to freak the shit out of her. Why? Why, though? A somber score accompanies the darkly dressed trio of Francis, Jane, and Dr. Olson as they walk through the oddly angled cemetery gates in a pallid procession, having laid Alan to rest. These cemetery gates, it's one of the coolest designs in the whole film to me.
Yeah.
I just love the way that they look. And like we were saying earlier, I feel like a lot of things that people would consider to be Burton-esque
Yeah.
are born from German Expressionism.
Oh,
For
yeah.
sure.
But it's late that evening when Francis sneaks into the fairgrounds, skulking through the dark, through the midway, and over to Caligari's tent. He ascends the stage stealthily to peer through the flap, and when he doesn't find anything amiss, he crawls over towards Caligari's caravan. He slinks silently up to the window, where he finds the doctor fast asleep in a chair, sitting next to the opened coffin, with what appears to be Cesare resting inside. Don't look too closely.
Yeah. Yeah.
Don't do it.
And it's funny as hell how long he stays out here and he was still convinced.
Yeah.
But we find Cesare his dark silhouette slithering across the exterior wall of the Olsen residence, creeping step by step over to the staircase, where he offers a less than languid pirouette as he ascends to the top of the steps. The organ in the score winds an ominous song as Cesare rises through the blue dark, his knife in hand as he hovers just outside of the towering windows that line the walls of Jane's bedroom. Jane lies asleep in her bed, serene in her slumber, and framed in the pristine comfort of her bright and billowing blankets. But unbeknownst to her, Cesare tears free the jagged frame of her window, improvising an entrance into her bedroom. He stalks his way through the night, creeping ever closer, each cautious step carrying him nearer and nearer to the sleeping Jane. His eyes unblinking as he reaches her bedside, Cesare raises the knife over Jane's sleeping body, but before he can bring the blade down into her soft flesh, he suddenly stops himself, dropping the knife. He slowly reaches his hand to her face, but just as soon as he caresses her cheek with his palm, does Jane stir awake, jolting upright. Cesare swoops upon her, wrapping her in his arms as Jane struggles against him. His harried hands seem to stain the fabric of Jane's nightgown as the pair continue their tussle. But Jane's screams awaken a pair of sleeping men nearby. Cesare, though, finally gains the upper hand, lifting Jane at his hip under his arm and pulling her free from the frilly lace canopy that covers her headboard. He carries her over to the window he broke into, disappearing into the dark, just moments before the two uncredited men race inside of Jane's room to discover her bed empty. An uncredited woman joins them, soon followed by Dr. Olsen, who collapses mournfully into his daughter's bed when he sees that she no longer occupies it.
What the hell is going on?
I know.
Because this doesn't even align with what we've seen before.
What, with Cesare?
Yeah.
I think that he fell in love.
Yeah.
And when he saw her, he's like, she's beautiful.
Yeah. Her milkshake really brings all the boys together.
Yeah. It's like, damn, Francis.
Yeah, everybody.
Caligari's like, she is beautiful. I will agree to this.
So that was his mistake, huh?
I guess so.
Sending him over there, he's like, damn, she's hot. He'll do it.
Yeah,
He's like,
So, no, he won't.
Nope.
There are so many iconic visuals. This entire sequence of him creeping into the room.
It's really good.
It is. And again, we talked about James Whale, his Frankenstein.
Right.
There is a scene that's basically this.
Yeah.
Almost identically.
Okay.
So even just a short, 10 years later,
right,
it's recreated through Universal Horror Pictures.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things, I think this was one of the scenes that is often shown whenever this film is shown in other movies.
Mm-hmm.
I swear this was the scene that they showed on Maniac.
Okay.
But it's just so iconic. It's so beautifully shot.
Mm-hmm.
And it's also really striking and frightening.
Right.
Because it's 1920. I don't expect to see a man holding a sharp knife over a sleeping woman.
Yeah.
And then abducting her and carrying her away.
Yeah. But this is, I think, one of those scenes where it's like tension and just this frightful sight. You can see how this is echoed throughout horror films forever.
Yeah.
It's just so beautiful.
It's good shit.
But through the dark, the three uncredited individuals spy Cesare through the broken window, Dr. Olsen joining them to watch as Cesare ascends the jagged rooftops nearby with Jane slung under his arm, the thin fabric of her nightgown caught in the evening breeze. And this is another one of those shots that you just know.
Yeah.
Like whether you've seen the film or not.
Right.
Cesare departs the Olsens' home, continuing down the crooked path of a tall bridge and toward the mouth of a tunnel. But when he realizes he's being pursued by Dr. Olsen, his staff, and a mob of angry townsfolk, Cesare abandons Jane. He drops her on the ground and makes a mad dash all alone for the caravan.
Well, I mean, he does have to carry her, so you're not going to run with me.
I'm done.
Olsen rushes for Jane, cradling his daughter in his arms, and with the help of his staff, he carries her back to his house as the mob marches onward in search of Cesare. But we find Cesare again, through the barren trees of a forest, his arms outstretched, his energy depleted, creeping clumsily like a zombie until he loses his footing and collapses in a heap to the forest floor. And even this style of posture and movement, arguably, it is like the stereotypical zombie shuffle.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
And Francis, still lingering outside the window of Caligari's caravan, finally decides that he's seen enough and sneaks his way back to the Olsen residence. But in the pale pink light of the parlor, Francis is dismayed to find Jane, resting unconscious in a chair, rushing right for her side. And with the help of Olsen, the pair rouse her awake, Jane rising dazed in her seat, her eyes wide with fear and recognition, with only one name on her lips, escaping into the air on a shout. Cesare!
We got a name?
Mm-hmm. Like Jim Croce.
Yeah.
But Francis stands beside her, certain that it couldn't have been Cesare. He explains that Cesare was asleep at the time of the abduction. He watched him for hours.
Come on,
Okay,
man.
all right, Edward.
How did you not know?
It's like he was in such a deep sleep he wasn't even breathing.
It was crazy. You know when you sleep and your face gets like wooden?
Yeah, no shit.
He was doing that.
That's a different kind of hard sleeping. Right?
But when Jane doesn't budge, sure of what she saw, Francis can think of nothing else to do but to collect his hat and set out for Caligari's caravan again. The camera lingers on Dr. Olsen and Jane, who gaze into each other's eyes, unsure of what to make of the horrific events of their evening. And through an iris wipe, we reach the end of Act 4. Act 5 finds Francis storming into the police station, his domain.
Everybody straightened up when he got
Yeah,
in
they're
there.
like, yes, sir, yes, sir. And with endless angst, he seems to recount the puzzling events of the evening with the mustachioed officers. He then seeks to confirm that the prisoner is still secure in his cell, prompting the officers to provide a confident nod in response. But simply hearing this isn't enough for Francis, and he demands to be taken to see the prisoner for himself. The officers oblige their superior.
They're apparent superior.
And they guide him down the slanted steps and lead him through the oddly angled awning of the holding cells. Through a small hole in the wispily painted wall, Francis peers down into the criminal's cell, where the man sits all alone, his ankles shackled to a weighted chain, clearly incapable of having committed the attempted kidnapping. But by the blue light of evening, Francis directs the officers and the lead detective to the only other alternative, even if it seems to defy all logic and reason, and the four men arrive at Dr. Caligari's caravan, the doctor awakened by their incessant knocks upon his door. After spying them curiously through the window, Caligari steps outside, confounded and concerned at the sight of the constables. The lead detective is in no mood for Caligari's bullshit, ordering him away from the door with a stern push and sending his men inside of the doctor's domicile. Caligari stands nervously with his Mickey Moused hand clutched to his beating heart.
He's like, that's it. He's been caught.
It's Robert Durst.
He's burping.
Yeah. He's unable to do anything but watch as the officers carry Cesare's coffin outside for a proper inspection. As they set it down, the doctor's eyes widen in anxious anticipation, but when the officers open the lid, they appear aghast at what waits for them inside. A dummy, fabricated and outfitted to look exactly like Cesare.
A dummy.
Yeah.
Francis is like, what?
That's not what I see.
Yeah, that definitely was not like that.
So I did want to ask, because again, we did see the wooden face earlier. Then this happens. I was like, surely we're not supposed to believe that this dude has been a puppet the whole time.
No.
Like a puppet.
Yeah,
because I was like, I don't know.
This was a ruse.
Yeah.
It's so funny to me that Caligari is like, no, the heat's on. So
to make a decoy.
Yeah, I need to make a decoy just in case.
That's real funny.
A furious Francis reaches for the dummy doppelganger, lifting it out of the coffin with ease as he's overcome with ire and disbelief. But Caligari takes off running.
I didn't believe this.
He's fleeing the interview. He gives chase over the streaked and asymmetrical hillsides for the bowed and bent bridge where Cesare abandoned Jane the night before. And yes, once again for the hills that I think were reused.
Yes, yeah.
They moved a couple of trees. They're like, nobody will notice. But Francis follows close behind, watching as Caligari races around a corner of a large structure, rushing inside of an irregularly shaped gate and slamming it shut behind him. Francis rounds the same corner in pursuit, but staggers backwards in shock when he discovers the sign posted on the wall just outside of the gate. Irrenenanstalt. Insane asylum.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. And did anybody else notice, but whenever they're kind of in a wide shot, I swear to God, it says insane asylum in English on that sign. And then only when we get closer does it say it in German.
Huh.
Oh, no, I didn't.
No, I didn't notice that.
I was like, am I? But with great trepidation, Francis heads inside. He crosses through the common area, painted beams like gleaming sunlight cast across the floor, beneath the neatly arranged furniture, and over toward 3 symmetrical archways at the far wall, each leading upward to a trio of triangular staircases. And again, the set design is just a sight to behold.
Yeah.
It is insane. I read that they put all these sets together in the matter of 2 weeks.
Damn.
Okay.
Which is unbelievable.
And it is, I don't want to say simple, but you can see how where they just like painted the steps to look like it keeps going.
Yeah.
And it's like, man, that's the easiest thing, but the most effective thing to do.
Yeah, and they do utilize a lot of forced perspective.
Yeah.
Like even from the opening when we saw the town.
Yeah.
It's like you don't need to,
Yeah, it works.
And I did read that it was the cabinet of Dr. Caligari that inspired a lot of future German films to utilize stuff like this instead of filming like exterior scenes outside.
Okay.
They're like, we can just build and paint a stage.
Yeah.
We'll make our own outside.
Yeah. But Francis seeks the aid of an uncredited orderly who rushes up the staircase to alert a young doctor played by Henry Peters Arnolds to Francis's arrival and inquiry. After greeting him, Francis asks if he has a patient at this asylum by the name of Caligari. The young doctor stands confused, only answering with a shake of his head. But to gain further insight, he calls over an uncredited older colleague who also doesn't seem to have ever heard of a Dr. Caligari. But he suggests taking it all the way up to the top, noting that the director of the asylum returned earlier today, and perhaps Francis should speak to him personally. He guides Francis down a slanted corridor, opening a tall triangular door at the end of the hall for Francis to enter an office. Once inside, Francis creeps around the clutter and a very cool-looking skeleton.
Yeah.
It was very cool.
And over to a desk where an older man sits surrounded by staggered stacks of books. The director raises his gaze from the work in front of him, slowly revealing himself to Francis. His head of unkempt hair, his features etched eerily beneath his circular framed glasses, and that same mad look in his eyes that Francis has seen many times before. The asylum director is Dr. Caligari.
What?
Get out of here.
This reveal was funny because it's clearly him.
Yes, yeah.
From the wide.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's the doctor. But it's one of those things that it's like, I didn't predict that.
No, but when you see him, you do know.
When you see him, it does take a little bit of the punch out of it.
Yeah.
That's dude.
But then you're like raising all these questions. You're like, what the hell are you doing?
Yeah.
And who the hell are you?
Yes.
A dramatic flourish in the score punctuates Francis's swift retreat from the office, the young man racing back to the common area, the sheer shock of his discovery sending him stumbling, losing his footing, and forcing him to catch himself on the arm of a chair. The young doctor, his colleague, and another associate assist him to take a proper seat, Francis collecting himself enough to declare the true identity of the director. He himself, and none other, is Caligari. The men respond with silent incredulity to Francis's wild revelation, but according to a title card, they seem to snap right into action. And they take Francis's claims quite seriously.
Yeah. Dude.
Well, he is their boss.
That's true. It's like, I'm the mayor now, so fucking do it.
I'm everyone's boss.
The green text reads, while the director, now placed under observation, is sleeping in his villa. And we watch, under the blue veil of darkness, the elder doctor and his colleagues sneaking Francis into the director's office, switching on golden-colored light to illuminate their search of the director's belongings. I love the switch of color in this tent.
Yes.
It's one of the coolest things.
That was really cool.
And again, never expected to see that here.
No. But again, that raises another question because we learned how they did the tent on the film itself.
Oh, yeah.
So it's like, that sounds very, very
scary.
Yes.
Yeah.
I wouldn't advise that.
No. And it's so impressive. It's like 1 second to another.
Yeah.
So that, you guys are more courageous than me.
Yeah.
After a cursory look through the books on the director's desk, the elder colleague makes a beeline for the skeleton parked near the entrance of the office, moving it out of the way to access a hidden panel in the wall. And once he opens it, he discovers a collection of ancient texts. Returning to the other men, he sets the books down in front of Francis, who reaches his fingers for the edge of the book's binding, opening it to reveal its title. Somnambulism, a collected edition from the University of Uppsala.
So this is a research scene.
Yeah.
Maybe the first one ever. I don't know.
Perhaps the first ever.
Francis knows this to be Dr. Caligari's speciality, but as the director slips deeper into his slumber in bed, Francis continues his perusal of the dusty pages until he finds a chapter that catches his eye. The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari.
The shots of him sleeping were funny.
Yeah.
It's like, don't worry.
Yeah, they're fine. It's also very funny to me how much of this is kind of just like an overhead projector. Like, it's like we are part of the research, which is pretty cool. And the pages look awesome.
They do.
But the chapter recounts the history of the man called Caligari, revealing that in the year of 1783, a mystic by the name of Caligari toured the fairs of numerous villages in northern Italy, accompanied by a somnambulist named Cesare. For months, he sowed panic amongst the village folk through a series of foul murders committed under almost identical circumstances. The men read on together, and it is funny to watch them all crouched over the book.
Yeah.
Caligari had entirely subjugated to his will a somnambulist named Cesare, whom he did compel to carry out his nefarious schemes. A puppet, the exact likeness of Cesare, and which took his place in a cabinet, allowed him to divert any suspicion that might fall on the somnambulist. So he just copied this dude's whole flow.
Yeah.
Like, that's wild.
Mm-hmm.
But beneath the stack of books, Francis finds the director's diary, which is very convenient.
The way that it's just like my diary.
Yeah.
That's really funny.
And this reminded me of Blood and Black Lace because for some reason it said the same thing on the diary in German.
Oh, okay.
But Francis tears the diary open, The four men crowded together and poring over the small cursive writing inside. 12 March. Finally! A somnambulist has been brought to the asylum for admission. We iris wipe to the somewhat recent past, the director rising eagerly from behind his desk as the young doctor, his elder colleague, and a few orderlies wheel a sleeping patient into the director's office. His pale face beneath his mop of dark hair, we recognize him as the man who would become Cesare. And the doctor rushes over to give the patient's face and limbs a proper inspection. After pawing at the patient, the director waves his subordinates out of the room with wild hands, the men obeying his order. But once he is all alone with the patient, the director rejoices in vibrant bliss, embracing the patient tightly in his arms before rushing over to his desk to retrieve an old book from the stack, forcing it into the sleeping face of the patient before cackling madly, tearing the book in half and dropping to his knees to clutch the man who will become his Cesare.
Calm down.
Yeah.
Hold on.
We can hear you outside the door.
I was gonna say he was acting super chill and cash, but it's like I've never seen this man happier.
No, dude.
No.
And it's wild to me that none of the staff, because they're like, get out of here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, that
Okay.
wasn't weird.
Yeah, I was like, dude, what are you doing?
What is going on
Yeah.
here?
Only Francis can talk to us like that. Back it up.
But back in the office, with Francis and company perched over the director's diary, the men find a rather disturbing entry. Afternoon. I shall be able to satisfy my life's unwavering wish. Now I shall unravel the psychiatric secrets of this Caligari. Now I shall discover if it was true that a somnambulist can be compelled to perform acts that in a waking state he would never commit and would be repugnant to him. Whether it is true that a sleepwalker can be led to commit even murder. And in the not-too-distant past, the director buries his face deeply within the book, exploring the events of the life of Caligari, overcome and overwhelmed with obsession, desire devolving into madness as he declares, I must know everything. I must penetrate his secrets. I must become Caligari.
Yo, hold on. You want to do what to his secrets, Doc? You gotta.
He's got to get in there.
He's like, I could have picked a better word. I could have
You
described
know what
that
I
better.
mean, damn
I'm
it.
going crazy. All right? Discordant notes lead the director on his descent into the blue darkness waiting for him outside of his office, the director clutching his book to his chest as he swipes at specters in the surrounding air. And in ghastly green text, ominous orders appear through the ether. Be Caligari. You must become Caligari. 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 The director chases these words, their insidious instructions evaporating nearly as soon as they arrive, leaving the director staggering back to his office, forced to obey and indulge in his deepest desire as we reach the end of Act 5.
This is probably my favorite part visually.
It's so cool.
It looks
Yeah.
so fucking cool, and it's like, how did y'all do that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's again, you're watching it and nothing like this, because typically when you think of a silent film,
Yeah.
any kind of text that appears or anything like that is a separate thing.
It's its own
Right,
screen,
yeah.
yeah.
But this is overlaid onto the film.
Mm-hmm.
And for this being like a visual representation of him like hearing this in his own head and like this descent into madness or whatever, seeing it represented in this way, it was just really fucking cool.
It's the way that it fits into things.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think that kind of lend a little more for me. That's like, oh, you're seeing it in everything.
Uh-huh.
Mhm. Act 6 finds Francis encircled by the asylum staff, the four men reaching their rather inconvenient conclusions as they reach the end of the director's diary. They appear rather dismayed at their discovery, but they're soon interrupted by an uncredited townsman who reveals that they've found the sleepwalker out in the fields. Francis and the men follow him outside, joining an array of townsfolk who crowd over the collapsed Cesare in the dark of the evening. Francis leans over to inspect the man as the chief investigator now.
Yeah. What do you think, boss?
Yeah. My years of experience. It's like, what the fuck are you talking about? But upon realizing that Cesare has descended into an eternal slumber, he's dead, which surprised the hell out of me.
Yeah.
The men carry Cesare's covered corpse at Francis's direction back to the asylum walls. As the staff and townsfolk wait outside, a black blanket draped over the body of Cesare, Francis enters the office alone, discovering the director standing behind his desk, offering a dramatic turn to face Francis upon his entry. Francis charges, "Mr. Director, unmask yourself. You are Dr. Caligari." The director crumbles against his desk at Francis's accusation, which is not something that you would do unless you are Dr. Caligari.
He's been made, man.
Yeah. But the score rises tensely around him as the asylum staff carries the covered body into the office, setting it down close to the entrance. The director surveys his subordinates with solemnity, making a measured march over to the man who rests as a mound beneath the black blanket. And when Francis lifts it, revealing the pallid and lifeless body of Cesare, the director recoils in shock, inching his way toward the body of the somnambulist, collapsing on top of him in a grief-stricken embrace. Strings wind somberly in the score as the director peers up at his staff, each of them eyeing him uneasily as he reaches his feet again. His diabolical desires and devious deeds discovered, the director lunges for a member of his staff, only to be subdued with ease by the surrounding men. It's like, dude.
Nah, dude. Nuh-uh.
They drag the now straight-jacketed director, kicking and screaming, into a small cell within his own asylum, where he is tossed onto a cot. He writhes madly, struggling senselessly against his tight restraints until his wide eyes seem to glaze over, the director descending into a dour daze as he slowly goes motionless. The large painted door of his cell is closed, the staff departing and leaving Francis all alone in the corridor, the young man catching his breath and attempting to make sense of all he has witnessed.
I know we're bullshitting about dude being their boss now, and but if there's murders and Cesare's dead,
Yes.
so yeah, Caligari, shouldn't the cops be here too? Like, we're just gonna
You would think.
you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Put him in a straitjacket, throw him away. It's like, dude, he's got a lot of things he needs to answer for.
Yes.
This is mob justice.
Yeah.
Honestly, yeah. But for some reason, there's like a sense of satisfaction right
yeah,
now.
it's
Yeah.
like how the tables have turned.
But through an iris wipe, we return to the present day. Francis seated on the stone bench with the old man, his terrifying tale concluded. In the dark of the evening, the story took a long time to tell.
Which I forgot it was being told.
Yeah.
Honestly, because when we returned, and that's the other thing, like the writers were, and again, with their stories kind of conflicting, they claimed to be pissed off about the frame story because they said that everything looks real outside of the frame story and everything looks surreal inside of the frame story. And so they said that this pissed them off because they're like, you're not embracing the entirety of German Expressionism when you're saying that it's nothing but a dream or whatever, or a story being told.
Yeah.
Which completely is not true and gets negated in about 2 seconds.
It's
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Stylistically, do you not understand your own film and
It's-
why visually this would be beneficial to your own film?
I do not
Yeah.
understand. They just said a lot of confusing things.
They were probably just, again, if it bombed or whatever, they were like, it wasn't me.
It wasn't us. Yeah.
And then when it's a success, they're like, that was all me.
Yes. Well, we've seen.
I did everything. Yeah. But Francis finishes. And from that day on, the madman never again left his cell. He looks around, seeming somewhat uncertain of his own story, as the old man rises from his seat, buttoning his coat and offering Francis a suspicious look. Francis joins him, the pair making their way through the leaf-littered path and into the common area of the asylum. Jane sits at its center, her ornate chair appearing like a throne, with beams of light cast across the floor beneath her. Cesare, wide awake, paces the grounds, stroking the petals of a white flower carefully cradled in his hands. A bearded madman barks at nothing and no one in particular, and a seated woman plays an imaginary piano as Francis and the old man spot the serene and harmless Cesare, Francis suddenly cowering behind the old man, outstretching an accusatory finger in a shout. "Look! That's Cesare!" He warns, "Never allow him to tell your fortune, or you're dead." The old man backs away from Francis nervously. He's like, "It's a little too spicy for the pepper."
It's too much. I deal in spirits.
Yes, this is
something else.
God damn. The young man's face sinking somberly, his eyes searching through his madness, through his memories, and through the faces in the crowd, until he finds Jane. Relief washes over him, his face stretching into a sweet smile as he crosses over to her, his soft whisper reaching her ear as he leans closer. "Jane, I love you. Won't you be my wife at last?" Jane rests regal beneath her small crown, turning her head away from her would-be suitor as her answer leaks through her thinly painted lips. "We queens are not free to answer the calls of our hearts."
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
A heartbroken Francis staggers backward, his hands clenched into claws as the director enters the common area from the trio of staircases. He is well dressed, his hair neatly combed, and though he now lacks his eyeglasses and his face is free of frown lines, Francis recognizes him as Dr. Caligari. He cries out miserably, "You all think I'm insane! It isn't true! It's the director who is insane!" And as the director crosses in front of him casually, checking in on his patients, Francis charges for him, screaming, "He is Caligari! Caligari!" A wave of white-coated staff quickly rush over to the director, tearing him from Francis's grasp and promptly subduing the young man in a straitjacket. They carry him off to the exact room where Dr. Caligari was forced earlier, setting him down into the bed in the corner. The director joins his staff, woeful over Francis's current condition, but reaching into the pocket of his coat and retrieving a very familiar pair of eyeglasses to place on his face, the director extends a comforting hand to Francis's fearful face. As the patient is lowered to rest atop his bed, the director removes his glasses, tucking them back into his pocket as he declares, "At last, I understand his delusion. He thinks that I am that mystic Caligari. Now I know exactly how to cure him." We center on the face of the director in an iris shot, and in a mere moment, we can read his solemn stare as sympathetic, or perhaps sinister. But we then dip to black, reaching the film's end with a sharp stab of piano. So, what did you guys think of The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari?
So this not totally, but I thought about Gothica.
Really?
Okay.
Wow.
Okay.
But this was, again, I didn't expect this ending.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh, okay. I don't mind this movie as a whole. Like I said, this is a good watch, a good experience. I think that I just, like I said earlier, other than everything else is fine. I want to hear a little bit of them because of, I guess it is more, like I said, their characters, the way they look. You can see the expression on their face, but I want to feel a little more. You know what I mean? Because the sets are really cool. I like the atmosphere to this movie a lot. Like where we're at, how everything looks. It is cool. It's very, very dreamlike. And I guess that is kind of where we're at.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we're in the story. And it is a film that I do think should be experienced.
I was thinking of Andrew Laitis.
Yes.
Honestly. But yeah, I think that it is an experience. There are moments that are hilarious.
Yeah.
And there is logic that doesn't really track. But once you get to the end, you understand why.
Right.
I'm a sucker for twist endings like this. And so it was a treat. I wasn't really expecting to get something like this here. Mm-hmm. And so it was a treat. And then even so at the end, you're like, so what happens now?
Yeah.
Like where do we go from here? But it is kind of tragic. And talking about the beginning again after having finished it recontextualizes that conversation even at the beginning of where we are and what's going on.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's a really cool experience. I liked it a lot. Like I said, just stylistically, I think that it is really striking visually to look at. It's groundbreaking. You can see the kind of, again, trails that it blazed. Mm-hmm. And it is very Tim Burton-esque.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously Tim Burton is very
expressionistic.
Yeah. And so, I mean, I don't know. It was really cool. Like I said, it's not going to be something that I reach for to put back on. But I think that it is something that any person that really loves horror should watch and experience. I don't mind a silent film. I understand you being like, it's not really my favorite.
Yeah.
Especially with how spoiled we are now. I mean, we're very spoiled in all aspects of filmmaking. So I totally get that. I don't necessarily mind it. It is a different vibe than watching, a talkie. But if you just allow it to be what it is, I think it is a really cool movie to watch, and it is an important part of film history and horror film history.
Yeah.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I think I fall more in love with this movie every time I watch it.
Right.
It's so interesting to me. There are so many interpretations of this ending and what different things represent within the film.
Really?
Yeah. There was a book, I think it was written in the 1940s. It was by a critic called Siegfried Krakauer. Mm-hmm. And he had said that this film is like a prescient piece of art that kind of charts the rise of Nazism through its characters and the way they're portrayed.
And its actors.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But it was something that he had said in this book, and Janovitz later was like, yeah, that's exactly what we were intending. Which I don't know about. But there's also this idea of maybe it's a reaction to World War I.
Right.
Where they say that Dr. Caligari depicts like a seemingly respectable authority figure gone mad, and Cesare is the sleeping German public.
Ooh.
Or maybe Cesare is a member of the German army who is forced into violence by the authority. So, I mean, there's just so many ways to take it.
It's very interesting.
There's so many ways to look at Francis. Is he really a madman? Or is he only mad because a madman defines what madness is? And so, I mean, like, there's a lot of interesting places to take the film. I think, honestly, on its face, just as it is, as we're watching it, with the double twist ending,
right?
I think that's successful on its own.
Yeah.
So, I it's fun to have those conversations. And considering how stories change over 106 years, you don't know exactly what means what or what was meant to mean what. But I think that whatever you take away from this film, it is impactful.
Yeah.
It is impressive. And it's so important to film history. Mm-hmm. Like you said, I don't think that. I think every film historian would say cinema changed because of Caligari.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It is one of the most important films because of what it is on its own and what spawned from it as a result from it. Mm-hmm. And so I just think that it's one of those things that you do as you're watching it. You're like, this is something really special. And taking its impact out of it, just watching it for me is an experience to really enjoy. Mm-hmm. I think just the sights of these sets, they're gorgeous. They're so interesting, and the shapes and the decisions that are made and the way that they're painted.
Right.
The characters and their costumes, which again, it was written in the screenplay that it was going to take place in 1920 of modern times. And then when they made the film, they took out all the references of things that could be 1920.
Oh, wow.
Huh.
So some of the costumes are out of like
Right.
different eras. So there's no real nailing down when this actually takes place,
Okay.
which adds to like this fairy tale kind of an idea
Yeah.
where it is this timeless story. And tragically, depending on how you read it, it fucking is a timeless story.
Yeah.
You know? So I mean,
Yeah.
it's just I love this movie. I'm very glad that I finally pulled the trigger to watch it those years ago, and thank you so much, Jules, for sharing with me the proper version. I'm sorry that JP didn't find the proper version the first time. And it was not Carnival of Souls.
I know.
But I think that this one is one that has become a favorite, not only because of its impact, but because of what it is implicitly.
Okay.
But I think we can slide into ratings. I think that I have gushed enough about this film. It is so brilliant to me what they were able to do and to accomplish.
Yeah.
These bold creative choices and swings that even to this day are like, oh, this is something that shocked me in 2024, 2026. Like every single time I watch it, it's like, I can't believe you guys did this.
Yeah.
And I do think I understand what you're saying about the silent film aspect of it.
Yeah.
To me, it lends like a very special charm.
Right.
Like the era of this film where it wasn't talkies. And so we do have to have these little moments of text on screen
Right.
to convey the dialogue and what's going on here.
Mm-hmm.
I think that that's just, I don't know, there's something special about that to me that harkens back to this old, really cool era.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that even with the silence, the performances are impactful too.
Right.
I think Conrad Veidt as Cesare, he has one line that's given on screen, I think, but through his emotions, his facial, everything that he conveys, it's really powerful to me.
Yeah.
And so much, again, Caligari is responsible for so much. And so a lot of our favorite things, a lot of surreal designs and ideas maybe in David Lynch films, or we were talking about Shutter Island.
Right.
Or like literally you could point, it's like one of those like it's Pepe Sylvia. And you just have strings leading from almost everything back to the cabinet of Dr. Caligari.
Okay.
But for me, out of 10 sinister somnambulist slayings, this is not a surprise, I'm going to give the cabinet of Dr. Caligari 10 out of 10 sinister somnambulist slayings. Happy birthday to my darling Jules. Thank you for sharing this film with me, and I hope, honestly, that us talking about it might help to share the film with other people that haven't had the opportunity to see it.
For sure.
Yeah.
Because it is definitely one that should be seen. But I will now open the floor to you.
No, yeah, I hear it, man. I think, I'm more of a, I'm pretty bitch, you know what I mean? So it is that though. I do appreciate, like I said, what's going on in the film, and I do appreciate what spawned from this film being made. I want to hear them. I like living in the moment with the movie. And I think for me, when I'm not hearing it and then I have the delay to have to read what's going on, it you know what I mean? There is a delay for me with, we talk about momentum in some movies. And I think for that, it slows me down a little bit. And I'm like, okay, well, I seen what happens. Now I got to read it. And which is fine. Everybody's different. For me, like I said, it did slow me down a little bit. But this was a treat. And I do agree with anybody watching it to see and experience what was going on, because it did, my view did change watching versions of it from the one I watched on Tubi to watching it on Shudder.
No, I'm sure.
Tubi, again, it's the same movie, but it's so blurry and it is old. This one being 4K restored, and I was like, in the original, I was like, oh, this is way better.
And the colors are proper.
Yeah, I did enjoy this movie more. I would I would watch this again, but I'm with you, babe. I don't think I'm gonna put it on myself anytime soon or like throw it in my rotation. But I do feel like this is a good thing to have in your back pocket. You know what I mean? Like I said, if somebody's like, "Well, I've seen this," or "Have you ever seen it?" It's like, actually, I have. You know what I mean? I did love it or I didn't love it, and I this and that from it. And then, like we always talk about, horror is a conversation. You can have a conversation about it. And then if, like we all did, and you guys both, Shutter Island, it's like, dude, and you're talking about David Lynch and whatever, you can find things to talk about with comparing movies that have come before into what we've seen now, like you were saying. But I would have liked a little more synth in this movie, I guess. So we can get to my taste. But
Right.
but this was really cool. It was cool to see the set designs visible this time.
Yes.
And because before, and not in a bad way, but it looked like, and I told you guys, it looked like boxes. I couldn't tell what the hell's going on. Watching it on Shudder, it did, like I said, it looked so much clearer. So I did enjoy this movie. Is it something that's probably one of my favorites? Probably not, but I would, like we all said, watch this movie, gain your own opinion of it, have it for knowledge, have it for love, have it for so you can make fun of it, so you can whatever. But watch it, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Watch it. So for me, on a scale from 1 to 10 sinister somnambulist slayings, I'm gonna give The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari a 6 out of 10. It is worth watching. I won't say that it's not worth watching. It is worth watching. But I'm talky. Me,
Right.
I talk.
I totally get that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've already said it, 150 times that this film is very special. I would definitely watch it again. It's just not something that I think I'll be like, oh my God, it was such a hard day at work, I'm gonna throw on Caligari and unwind. But it is one that I will think about. It is one that I'm sure watching further films, I'm gonna be like, oh
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Leonardo DiCaprio point.
Back to Shutter Island.
Yeah.
Back to Island. But it is a treat. Again, like I was saying at the top, it's a real treat to be able to experience something like this so far removed from the time, over a fucking 100 years.
Yeah.
That, I don't know. We get stuck in our brains sometimes. I think our generation in particular, where it'll be like 20 years ago, that was the 80s. And it's like, nah, bitch, no.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't. And so you think 100 years ago, and it's like you hear that. There's no way that we could still have access to anything that was made back then. But we do. And it's there's that word again, special, to be able to experience that. And so I do definitely, with my score, want to pay that proper respect and just really underline how much I loved the stylistic choices of this and how much I love a double twist.
Oh,
okay.
yeah.
And this one, to quote John Paul, was right up my ass.
Yeah.
Oh,
The
yeah.
way that
That's for
everything,
you, yeah.
the way that everything shook out. It really is my style of storytelling. And I love that. I think that there were some really funny moments and some things where we're like, oh, okay, he's the boss now, I guess.
Yeah.
And we're just going to roll with it.
Everybody's Ray for some reason.
Yeah. I know. Just affable as fuck.
Yeah.
You got it, boss. But yeah, no, and it was a ton of fun to talk about as well.
Yeah.
And to learn kind of where this film existed in the context of the time and place that it was made. That is interesting. And, life is all about context.
Yes.
And so having that knowledge, all that research that you did, T, I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Because
Thank
it is like, damn, that kind of shines a different light on certain things. And learning about some of the people, some of the actors involved and where they would so shortly go, it really cements you in that time period of like, this was no fucking joke.
No.
Like
Yeah.
it's grounding and sobering in a dark and weird way of like, this is real shit. And even right now, the filmmakers that are making films right now, people will look back in 100 years and be like, do you guys know what was happening at that time?
Yeah.
It's just looking at it, zooming out, it's like, wow, history.
Yeah.
Like, we're in it. You know what I mean? But on a scale from 1 to 10, sinister, somnambulist slayings. That was a difficult one.
I'm sorry, everyone.
I'm not great with S's sometimes. I am giving The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari 8 out of 10 sinister, somnambulist slayings. This was a treat, and I'm glad that we all got to experience it together.
Yeah.
Me too. Our first silent film.
Yes. We're just breaking all kinds of doors down.
Yeah. It's a wild month.
Yeah.
Well, that's all from us at Pod Mortem. What would you rate The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari, and what should we watch next? Let us know on Instagram at the Pod Mortem. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter and like our Stairhole Productions page on Facebook. Be sure to follow each of us on Instagram and Blue Sky at TravisMWH, at Blood and Smoke, and at Juggalo Daddy 84. Thanks again to Original Cinematic for sponsoring this week's episode. Please consider pledging to our Patreon, where you'll gain access to over 250 hours of bonus content, our monthly schedule, our Discord server, and the opportunity to help us decide which films to cover. And if you're looking for Pod Mortem and Stairhole Productions merch, follow the link in our episode notes. Stay tuned until after the music for a special thank you to our Wendigo Getter patrons. And remember, if you allow yourself to sleep through the steady encroachment of authoritarianism, you just might wake up to a nightmare. Until next time. Thank you for staying tuned. We want to give a very special thank you to all of our Wendigo Getter patrons.
Woo! Yeah.
Excellent work. A special thank you to
Chris Ontiveros, Kristen Lofton, Megan Martinez, Kimberly Bass, Sophie Hodson, Anthony Jerome M., Jordan Nash, Kent Morton, Lala Thomas, Travis Anissa Hunter, Miguel Myers ATX, Jennifer Perez, Allison O'Neill, Carissa, TJ and Angie Bronson, Andy Teague, Applin Ontiveros, Karima Rhodes, Kimberly Kleindienst, Bobby Holmes, Donna Eason, JD Rezak, Molly Gerhart, Armand Spasto, Aaron Aguirre, Eggy, William Berry, Charity Oxner, Amanda Six, Mandy Rainwater, Jordan Roberts, Dylan, Spencer Montalvo, Pancake the Panda, John Ramos, Michael Newting, Alexis Roberts, Itzy M, Gary Horton, Kate Lamp, Carlos and Sydney, Jessica Hunter, Helena Rudder, Alan Johnston, Mariah, Livy Fun, Scott Troutman Wise, Mozzie Bear, Dave Burke, Emma Hagel Kissinger, Valerie G, Emiliana, CB, Taylor Santana, Will Lewison, Angelique, Smelly Poo Poo Head, Beth Bauer, Cookie, Esperanza J, Jason Kyle OKC, Joshua Rumley, Danielle Peralta, Sawyer Reese Farr, Sahara, Girl That's Scary, Cassandra, Andrea Simmons, Ashley Higuera, William and Xxena Rush, Ryan Brom, Megan Ochoa, Laura Lassiter, Eileen O, Marissa E, Henry F, Megan M, Strangely Sarah, Christy Beck, Nancy and Andy, Amanda Lopez, Andy Terrell, Erica Morin, Tris Wynn, K.87, Mariah Jensen, Carrie A, Lonnie Lono, Powell, Kayla E, Maggie H, Murder Stina, Kristen Marcy, Ori 81 Boricua, Look Like That One Girl, Bog Boy, Felnez 63, Alita Pui, Probably My Jugs, Kate Thackeray, Wade Pack,
A Lizard, Bay J, Jay Rich, Topher Williams, Elena Metler, Valerie K, Christy Lee Kruger, Professor of Humanities Laura McCarricker, Naomi, Josh Smith, Autumn Green, Abby Kopp, Crystal 831, Skank Sinatra, Morgan Alexander, Tony Osteen, Julie Fredborg, Rihanna S, Daniel Taylor, Anna Kate, Heather Ortiz, Kim H, August, Jenny May, Old School Cool, Malik Caselli Armstrong, Scarly D, Toya Shea, Katie, Martin Shaw, Star, Tyler J, Cam Davies, Patrick Hoagland, Raven, Wesley Tart, Kristen Jackson, Jacob Nordberg, Samantha, Damian Grant, Half Price Horror, Clemmy, Nisi Nay, Jason X Rules, Aaron Norman, Victoria Smith, Patricia A. Graham, Erasmo Pena, Danielle Wright, Chuck D, Tabitha Thomas, Connie Lingus, Richard Murray, Irene, Sally Slater 52, Jordan McCarthy, Rosalind Harnias, Emily Rance, Amy, Lisa and Kathy, Mike H, Kristen Sadler, Hannah, Sarah Jack, Casey L, Evelyn Knight, Paula Garcia, Nikki M, Ghastly Granddad, Megan and Alexandra Saldivar, Lisa Sykes, Kelsey Niemeyer Cook, Martina LaForce, JG, Morgan Novello, Ashley, Alex M., Brandon C., Gordon Sutherland, Georgia Renlin, Ashley Poe, Diana Joe, Connor Gormley, Carrie Parker, Katie Face, Jane Pillsbury, Caitlin Asher, Mia Franz, Pooh Bear, Spicy Caldera, This is the Zodiac Speaking, Jason the Ghost, Moldy Tic Tac, Brian Ward, Tanner Rutgers, Gremlin Keeper 22, Sam Spade 666, Veronica, Kristen Rhodes, Daniel Laurent, Carmito, TVR, A Very Sweepy Baby, Nicholas Rage,
A Lazy Boy, Nicola Williams, Sadison Miles, Stu Corbett, Brick O, Jaden Nicole, Lost Fan 08, George L. Robertson, Mercedes X Bleeple, Joel Miller Apologist, Jaylene Perry, Cool Trainer Elijah, Mrs. Bloomingdale, Sierra Duncan, Renee Hart, Meg Like Sleep, Final Boy, Alani, Elizabeth Thompson, Joey, Michelle Nicole, The Lipstick Demon, Less Than Zombie, Franklin Badge, Sean Reeves, The Kryptonian Orphan, Melissa B., Elena C., Jillian Munford, Evil Chris, Rexterm Raoul, Witchy Poop 19, Brian Avers, Danielle Milton, Instant Horror, Just Give Me One Wish Like Ray J, Skin Deep, Christian Salvatierra, Ashay Guevara, Aaron Mr. Clean Bashard, Hinny Kravitz, Francisco Olmos, Paunchy Cat, Christina Perez, Buddy Boy Mac, Revamped, a rewatch podcast, Sarah Coolidge, Show Livia, Film Fiend, Catherine Clark, Brandon Brown, Jessica Hernandez, Camry, Amy Shipley like the Donuts, Jack, Alyssa Muskites, Jennifer Hager, Nox Nocturnal, Byron Pittman, Sophia Mason, Most Unholy S'more, Pear Bear, Tom Blades, Bonnie Bazell, Crystal Reddy, Stu Mocker Fokker, Sean Weeks, Chardonnay Carlina, Samira Samuels, The Chief King, Nicholas Doba, Philip Thomas, Ashley Gravely, It's Austin Buttercrush, Kimberly Martinez, James Floyd, Estefany, Hope Mowry, Abe the Camel, DGS, J. Taylor Art UK, and Robert Murdoch. Thank you all so much.
Yes, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you all so much.
We appreciate each and every one of you, and we hope you know that we're just crazy about you.
Ah, that's good.
That's right.
Happy birthday, Joel.
Happy birthday, Joel.
Happy birthday. Until next time.